103. Call for it. Everybody silence their phones. Stand for pledge.
We're out here till 5.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call. John.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Ron is not here today. Sean.
Here.
So you can have this if you want.
I don't know. I'm gonna go get and rinse them off, so they're gonna.
Okay, first order of business is approval of the agenda. Yes, ma'am.
Since this was sent out, the monthly office reports were not on there. For the court, Kelly was not on there. Let's see what else. Was the social service agreement on there? Home insurance probably wasn't on there. Old courthouse, new courthouse. Letter from construction engineers. I think that's about it. It's been since the email went out yesterday.
Okay, does anybody have any additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
I'd move to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, minutes. Any additions or corrections to the minutes of the previous two meetings? On October 10th and October 17th.
I don't see anything.
I'd move to accept the October 10th county commission minutes as presented and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Sean to accept the meeting minutes from October 10th as presented and dispense with the reading of the minutes. Is there a second to that motion?
And second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And the meeting minutes from October 17th.
I'd move to accept the October 17th minutes as presented and dispense with the reading.
Been moved moved by Sean to accept the October 7th meeting minutes as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, bills.
The Otter Tail Power Company bill, that is going to be going over, but it is at a positive $629.51 right now before this check comes out. So then after this check comes out, it will be going negative.
Currently, it's at 629.
Yep.
Positive, okay.
Yep.
Bank of North Dakota legal fees, new courthouse legal fees. $373.50. Any idea what that is? Cindy, do you know what the $373.50 for the Bank of North Dakota for the new courthouse legal fees is?
It says lease revenue bonds 2013.
I wonder if it isn't just for they're doing the bookwork on it. I don't know why they call it legal fees. Do you want me to go call her? Because I can.
Oh, see that last one?
Main Street storage, I thought we settled that a while ago. Why do we still have
You
that?
never talked to him about it. I know you talked about it as commissioners,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if you talked to him about it.
Isn't this the one I emailed you?
It was in the bills. He just wanted to remind us that it needs to get paid today. It can't wait for Monday, is what he was trying to say. Same with Wayne's. Wayne's is the same way, that they have to get paid today. They have to make it down to the bank today. I can call her, I can just take the phone in the other room and call her.
How come alcohol monitoring's under Cooperstown True Value?
Because they probably had an expense that went under their
Oh, okay. It's not kits. it's
supplies or
okay.
something that they needed for alcohol or under.
Wayne, on the North Dakota surplus property, the FAR supplies is over now. Not by much, but $864.
Put that back in there.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
That's, FAR supplies is over. Somewhere else we take the money out of if we got need stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay. On this Main Street storage, I mean, I guess we can pay the bill, but at the same time, I think we need to send them a letter canceling that storage. There's storage somewhere on county property. There's a whole courthouse here that's heated. There's storage downstairs. There's locked storage downstairs in the, I thought we had this discussion before.
I thought we did.
You did, but not with him, I don't think.
Oh, with Bob, you mean?
Yeah. You guys had the discussion, but I don't think he was here when we had the discussion last time either.
Okay. So if we pay the bill and and with the bill, send a note canceling the storage?
I agree, those are only like 5 by 10 anyway, how much
You're right.
could easily fit like downstairs.
So they can put it, we've got a building sitting empty here, that whatever needs to go there can go into it. So.
Could change that. Could change that to a different account, like.
Well, no, just from now, we'll fix it later on,
Okay.
but just from now on,
Yeah.
just use something else on your thing, and I would say. That,
Would you like to put that in the form of a motion, John, and have,
I'll just put a note there for, see, I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on it? I mean, it's only $55, but why are we spending $660 a year for something that we already have?
what's in there?
Don't know.
Doesn't matter, I guess.
Doesn't matter, there's secure storage
I
here.
thought we heard at one time, wasn't it some of the equipment for the DES vehicle?
Yeah.
Wasn't that some of it? And that was supposed to go with the vehicle.
I move that we accept the bills as presented and send a cancellation notice to Main Street Storage, and also forward that note to Bob Hook, as this will be the last storage bill that we're gonna pay, and then that stuff can be moved somewhere else.
Been moved by John to cancel the storage unit at Main Street Storage and move that stuff to some other county-owned property. Is there a second to that motion?
Second it.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Aye. Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Oh, you were approving all the bills.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
both.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah, I did, I just didn't say it.
Okay. Well, you can say it now, and we vote on it again.
I just,
I further move that we accept the bills as presented.
thanks, John. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Aye. Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Office reports. We have one from Kelly. Townships Highway and the weed board, I believe.
Kelly, that 3802, that's the refund you're talking about in the, on page 11?
No, it's
Is this the?
this right here,
Okay,
the 2385.50.
okay.
It's the second one we've gotten this year.
Okay.
We don't usually get to, but it was a good year, so.
So does a refund from, in the clerk of court's office, does that mean it was a good year for crime?
No, that's for recording. That's the recording.
Okay.
Totally different.
How does that happen? If that's records people purchased off of Endron?
Yeah, and it's kind of based on how many documents recorded here.
These are the only two that left.
And they do a percentage of that.
Right.
We had quite a bit last year, so.
So the more properties that change hands, the bigger the refund typically.
Yeah, I think the list, we had recorded 388 more documents than Steele, 200 and some more than Nelson County, 200 and some more than Foster County. Like all the counties around us, with the exception of Barnes, we recorded a lot of documents.
I'd move to accept the monthly office reports as presented.
Been moved by Sean to accept the monthly office reports as presented. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Kelly, you're up again.
Yes, just real quick. I had my surprise inspection with Ralph, and I talked to him about the Kevlar issue and how, we kind of just didn't really want to have to put that money into it. So I asked him if we got some walk-through metal detectors, if that could take the place of having a Kevlar. And he said, yes, if we can get some of those, because we had the money in the grant that we could purchase those. So I talked to Bob, and I think he sent you the email. So he was able to get 2 walk-through metal detectors free of charge from the U.S. court system, their reutilization program, and also an x-ray machine for purses and briefcases and things like that when people come in. So we don't have to worry about putting Kevlar in. We can just put those here and we can move them over to the new building and not have to purchase them.
I think in his email, he wasn't sure that he wanted that x-ray machine. He was going to look at it or something. Well, I don't know what his decision.
Yeah, he just said they offered it too. He said it's a $100,000 machine. So yeah, he was gonna go. He had to be there today to pick him up by 2:30. So in Fargo, the federal building. So
Came from the Marshal Service, is that right?
U.S. Marshal.
Yep.
yep.
I guess before we could always throw it away if it quits, but it would be interesting to know what the maintenance costs or expected maintenance costs are on machinery like that.
Can't throw x-ray machines away too easily either. A huge disposal cost. They're hazardous material. They have to be thrown away.
Yeah, I guess I don't know anything about the maintenance on that. The one we had, we plugged it in and it worked. So, but I don't know. I don't know how much.
You have an x-ray machine now?
No, we were borrowing one from Steele. So, and Steele needed theirs back.
That was a metal detector.
That was the walkthrough. Yep. And we're getting 2 of those, I think he said.
Yep.
And then the x-ray machine. So. And I would imagine that x-ray machine we wouldn't have to use on regular court. We have court rules where your purses and your cell phones and things like that aren't allowed in court. So, but we don't have to do the Kevlar, so that's a good thing. So, bring you up to speed on that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Lynette.
Thanks for the chance to meet. I did get a call that you agreed to full-time agent in the county. And so I am here just to ask a few questions, actually. I'm going to share this with you first of all. We haven't started recruiting yet. As you know, that's the job of NDSU. We also take care of initial recruitment and advertising, doing some initial screening of people that apply. We do, for our county positions, we do actually a nationwide search. I just interviewed somebody from Utah this morning for another county, and so they come from all over. This is what the recruitment piece looks like. You can see a bit about the job description that's listed, what we would expect from them, what our minimum qualifications and our preferred qualifications are. And so we will do, like I said, all the recruiting. We'll put things locally in the paper as well as taking care of business nationwide, so we'll see what happens. We do have it's law that we have to open this up for 21 working days, and so that doesn't include the weekends. Usually it's about a month before we can even take a look at anybody. So this will be, it's all online, everything's done online, people apply online, everything comes online. And then after that we start checking references and whatnot. So I wanted to let you know that that's what this would look like. This is just a draft sheet right now because it's missing the date that we'll start screening and our job opening number. So I wonder if you had any questions about that, first of all.
No, you have 3 openings in this little geography.
Yep, actually Nelson just got filled. We are, that one is going to start on December 1st. We just filled that one. And Steele is one we interviewed for today. And so that one should be filled shortly as well. And Towner is my challenge. I'm not had a lot of candidates
Nobody
there.
wants to live in McHenry County?
Nope, it's Candu, Towner County.
Towner County.
Yep, Towner County. So that's the other one that I deal with. And yeah, that one's a toughie. I'm having a hard time filling that one. So we interviewed and it didn't happen. So yeah, gonna keep going. We're going back to the drawing board on that one. But otherwise, you know, we've been really pleased. Even in our smaller counties, we've gotten some great candidates. So we've been happy. And actually, graduation in campus, winter graduation's happening now. So we're hopeful. That, you know, we can get a good candidate there
You've
too.
had quite a few applicants to these other positions.
Yeah, sometimes. You know, Sheridan County, they just had 12 applicants for
Wow.
their job. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was great. Towner County, like I said, I'm having a little trouble there. You never know. But we were shocked. Sheridan County, 12 applicants. So sometimes, and not everybody in the pool was appropriate either. I mean, some of them still had a year of school left, so we couldn't do that. But I guess they wanted to live in Sheridan County.
Well, it's close to Bismarck.
And that could have been, you know, they like the rural area. A lot of them wanted a ranch and stuff too, and so that was, yeah, so it was good. It was good. So we had a really nice pool there. We were very pleased with. So I think that, you know, they get filled. It takes time, though. Usually it's about a 2 to 3 month process. It takes a little time. So we're gonna keep plugging away. So I just, question for all of you is we will do all the initial recruitment and the initial screening. Afterwards, when we get our finalists determined, we'll bring them in here for an interview. We bring them to the county, and it's nice to have a commissioner on the screening, or excuse me, on the interview team. Is anyone interested in doing that? It's probably about an hour and a half per candidate. If we have one, it's an hour and a half, or more, it's more than that. We would have a team of people, though. It would consist of myself, some sort of an ag producer, with crop improvement, or township officer, or someone, commissioner, 4-H person. It's nice to have a variety of people. And the decision's made by the group. It's not made by me. It's made by the group. So I don't know if anybody's willing to do that. Usually that's our request that we like to make of our commissions. Oh, excuse me.
Does anybody have any interest in being on the screening committee, or what do you call it?
Search committee.
Search committee? The search is kind of over by that time, but
Yep. We'll just have our finalists, yeah.
Oh, you've narrowed the field already.
Yep, we'll do that. So you don't have to take too much time. It's just that kind of that day or half a day we try to plug it in. And it's actually very informative. I think it's really helpful for everybody that's there to learn a little bit more about what their role will be. So that helps too.
NDSU sets the salary, and then we're responsible for.
And you know what, and that's certainly, we have a starting salary that we have set, and if it's somebody right out of college with no experience, that's what we go with. And that's less than what's in the budget right now. We do have kind of a formula that we use as we build it up, if they have some experience or, you know, extra college, extra schooling, and we would certainly work with you on that. If there was, you know, if it was going to get above what's even in the budget. And so somebody I interviewed this morning actually would be just a little bit above that for another job, and so I would want to make sure I visited with you before we would ever offer them anything.
What's the base?
Base right now is 39.2, and so we split that in half. So we pay half of that one, and the county does. So that's again someone without any school, no experience.
that's not loaded though.
Pardon me?
That's not loaded salary, that's just the base salary.
That's their salary.
And you guys cover benefits.
And we cover benefits. Yes.
So you cover the health insurance?
Yep.
All of it, or?
Yeah,
or-
100%. We take that
Okay,
out.
so then we're only responsible for half the base.
Right, so you're
Well,
responsible.
we have 2 mills, so
Right.
that's 35,000, 34,500 or whatever.
How about the retirement?
And we cover that too,
Okay.
100%. And
Okay,
then
so in
all-
the benefits portion of this, the NDSU covers all that?
Yeah, so what we ask you to cover is the other half of the salary,
Yeah.
so, 20,000 maybe, let's
And
just round it
sports
up.
stuff.
And then the operating.
Okay.
So that's my question. My next question is really on the operating. I do have the budget. I signed the budget and we put like 54,780 total. That does include that half of the agent's salary. And that's a little bit more than the starting. So this is for the entire year of next year. We're good to go on this?
He needs to sign them yet. I've got
Okay.
a couple offices that haven't handed in yet, so,
Okay,
but he can stop and sign them when he wants.
okay.
It's in there this morning.
I just wanted to make sure we were okay there, so that as we do get somebody in here, that they know what they've got to work with, and for that too. I do know that, there might be some requests, and I know that you continue to talk about this too, for some additional support staff help. If there's ways to partner or share or something, if we can do that. We're just trying to always figure out how to give somebody some help, as much as possible. My other question is, we have some furniture that we got here it came from NDSU. They had some furniture coming out of some offices, they did some remodeling, and so we brought it here to Griggs because anticipation of the new office in the new building. And I believe it's stored in someone's shed.
It's in
Jill.
Jill's.
It's
It's in her husband's shop.
Is in her shop? Okay. And I think she's trying to get it out of there. And so if there's anywhere, I don't know if there's anywhere to store, there was something about maybe there's room in the building, or is that not an option for any storage? Could we put anything in there or not?
In this building?
In the new one, or wherever it's at, I'm gonna be going the wrong way here.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Is that okay? I don't know how much it is of the furniture, I think it's a desk and a credenza or something. We just wanted to get it out of her shop.
We need to do that.
Yeah.
So we can take care of that, we'll make sure we get somebody to haul it over. I just wanted to make sure that was okay for you.
Yeah, I'm sure it can go in there. Cindy's got a key, correct?
Okay, okay.
That, here, I have a dumb question. We have a vehicle for the extension agent?
No,
What's that gray pickup out here?
the pickup
Weed.
is weed.
Board, yeah.
And I think, Wayne, didn't you take down the shop? It's down the shop now.
Okay.
Parked in
Have we always had a pickup for the weed board?
For a while now we have.
About 4 years or so.
Why?
there. I think Evan tweaked when he was here,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
or they got it from him.
I guess that's not a
Was
question
that
for
in the
you,
first one
sorry.
after
I don't know.
John?
Some counties have them, some don't. I don't know. And that would be a question I would have too. This individual that's hired we would anticipate they would assist with the weed board again. That's the plan? Okay. Okay. And we don't have that in our job description, but it is in some counties that is part of their work. We can't allow them to be the regulatory person on the weed board, but they can do the other work too, and, provide the education or whatever they need to do. So we'll take care of that. All right,
Okay,
that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
You were gonna have a commissioner on the board.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody want to sit in on those job interviews for the?
I could, depending
You want
on
to?
depending on the day you have it.
Yep, we'll keep you posted. I'll just connect with you directly and we'll set something up that works. But we'll
Okay.
have a whole team. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Jamie, did you sign in? Did he sign it? Okay.
Wayne, Jenny's not here yet? Is she coming?
Let me go check
He's
the
coming.
downstairs.
Well, do you want to, Bob wanted to be on
Bob
here,
wants to get in, that'll be a good time.
so let's do her.
Is he on your stuff or is he?
Yeah,
on
my stuff.
he's on with Wayne.
Okay.
Closer than it should have been.
That's at 7.
Yeah.
Can I say this right when I record?
Somebody's. Wayne, what do you got?
I don't know exactly what Bob was gonna talk about.
Well, it's, Wayne got a hold of Stutzman County's, I don't know if it's a resolution or what it is, but it is a effect for the working in the township ditches that you have a resolution for the right slopes and bottoms. But this is how they handle people that don't follow it. They've got a system where they give you a warning to put it to the specs. I don't know. You've got it, right?
I got the letter, yeah.
And it's a pretty good deal. I think there might be a few things you want to add. But,
I think it's something that should be done because the county could be, if the county's not keeping up with the slope, it could end up being a liability issue for the county. And there have been some ditches that they pretty much demolished any kind of slope in the county and township ditches. I think it's a good idea. I think it was a good deal that Wayne got it. Especially this year because it seems like there's quite a bit of extra grading going around. As far as us being able to do it, it looks fine to do it, and I think it's something that needs to be done. I don't know if Wayne has a copy of the letter, but I have one that Wayne gave me and I can pass around.
I have one here.
Stutzman County is doing it. I went to a wedding in Stutzman County Saturday evening, and the landowner where we went to the wedding had all kinds of engineering stakes in the township ditch that he'd just been working on. And when he finished the work, he got a letter that within 10 days, if it wasn't fixed to the county specs, they'd fix it and bill him. Well, 10 days later, they had an engineer out there and staked it out. And I don't know who is, if that comes from the road foreman that's inspecting it, or where it comes from, I have no
Yeah.
idea.
I think it says in there. It started with the last ditch over in Helena and Ball Hill Township. And then there was, going into the inslope of the roads, and I met with him, and Bob was also with the renter there, and told him that they shouldn't dig into the inslope, which they had. And I had several talks with them, and finally now they are going to fix the inslope because it come down and it just dropped down. Just drop off in the last foot or so. We went by the resolution that was passed by the commissioners in 2012, where it stated 4-to-1 inslope, 12-foot bottom, 4-to-1 back slope.
Wasn't it 15-foot bottom?
12.
12 foot, okay.
So, they did start changing it to the 12-foot bottom because when we first came out, it was quite a bit narrower than that. And so then I thought, well, I should get some more information. So I sent an email out to some of the surrounding, my friends, the superintendents and stuff. Mm-hmm. I got a few responses back. Walsh County, Sharon, they use that. They allow, there's a page in there that shows what their guideline are, standards for the ditch bottom. It's narrower than what we have in ours. They do let's see, she does a lot of permits. They have a permits deal that they have to go through. It has to be approved by different people. And then after the drain is done, then they go out and inspect it, and if it's not done according to the way that was written up, then they have to fix it. Walsh County, let's see, this is from Kevin Fieldson from Ramsey County. In Ramsey County, it says, we allow 1 foot of silt removal within the right-of-way without any permits. Existing slopes and ditch bottom have to be maintained, and once the work is completed, we inspect it to make sure they follow the guidelines. Since I have been there, we have not allowed any new drains to be established in the right of way. We have made them fill dirt back in or fix the end slopes when they didn't follow the guidelines. We don't allow anything beyond the scope of work because it does change the flow patterns and culvert elevations. We are basically allowing a clean out. We have recently adopted a flowage permit that allows tiled water to flow through the right of way, and I can send you a copy of that. He says, Sharon from Walsh County has been dealing with drain issues much longer than we have. It would be wise to adopt some of the versions of their permits. I really like how everyone has skin in the game. There's more than one entity that has interest in the drain. And here on Trail County, they also have a application for a ditch cleaning permit in Trail County. And probably all this can't be settled today, but it's got some good things to go by there also.
Do we have a copy of our policy?
Yes.
Right out of the state engineer's book, you're 4-to-1, 12-foot bottom and 4-to-1 back here.
Right, but if you read 240523, a landowner encroaches upon a county road or its ditches, which implies that no work can be done at all without permission of the county commission.
And there shouldn't be.
So you can have the standards, but there has to be something that before any work is done in the county ditch that the county commission gives permission.
Permitting.
Right. Do we have that?
I don't think so.
That's the water board that usually has anything to do with the drains in the first place, and it goes through the water board.
Yeah, but if we're going to try to enforce 240523 for encroaching upon the county ditches, we need to have a policy that allows encroachment, and we don't have that. So
we need to come up with the policies similar to Walsh County,
yeah,
the permitting plan.
Because right now we can't punish them because we don't have anything that says they can't do it.
And that's why we're bringing it up.
But the ones that have done it right now, if the roads or if the ditches are outside the slope specs, they still can't be outside the specs.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, so this is the only policy we have here is.
There needs to be a bite and some consequences in with the
Easement ditches. Right.
But John is right. We need to come up with some sort of policy, some sort of permitting policy, to be able to enforce it from now on.
and all along the hopes of the water board is to get them to leave that ditch alone and get an easement to bury a pipe in there and cover it back up so there isn't water standing in the road ditches.
But these are contradictory. The Century Code and this resolution. This basically gives blanket authority to anybody as long as you follow these slopes.
I haven't seen that.
From what I understand, that isn't the first one that county commissioners in Griggs County made a resolution on. They made a similar one about 12 or 13 years ago, and it was never enforced.
See, that just sets the that just sets the specifications, but it doesn't require approval.
Right.
So basically, it gives approval as long as you follow the specifications. You're getting approval.
But if these ditches aren't up to spec, then we need to do something about them. And I still think 240523 gives us the ability if they're not up to spec right now.
On the Century Code, it says encroachment of the right of way. It's not only digging in the ditch, it's putting a fence in the bottom of the ditch or digging to the bottom of the slope. A lot of people farm right up to the bottom of the
But you're right about
slope
this.
also, and that's encroachment.
But you're right about this, John. It gives them the ability to do whatever they want as long as they're do the 4-1 slope.
And 240523, the encroachment doesn't set any standards. It's just encroachment. So
Right.
if we've already given blanket authority for encroachment, as long as they follow that, we can't hardly say this doesn't have any standards to it.
Right, no, my concern for right now is that they haven't followed these standards.
Right.
But I think in the future, we need to come up with a permitting process.
Yep.
Our county belongs to the Upper Cheyenne Water Resource.
I don't know what the water
Joint Board.
as far as drain permits, don't they?
They've got to come to us to get them, but they're not doing it. So, so then we're constantly trying to run them down. But the Upper Cheyenne Joint Water Board is kind of waiting to see what we want to do. A lot of those 11 counties will probably adopt what we do here.
Because in one of those papers, it says that the NRCS also has to be included in it if they're draining any water out of
Right,
any-
NRCS, Corps of Engineers, EPA, State Water Commission, they all have a little bite in it, but nobody has,
And you should be able to
Real
look at their
consequences.
plans, which.
it should be,
Somebody isn't allowing.
yeah. Yeah, you as county commissioner should have to okay a project in a ditch that you own.
And there's a lot of ditches out there that somebody in the middle of the night or whatever goes out there and digs. And I think this particular ditch was in, I don't remember what year, one of those years when there was water or sheet water standing all over, and I think this landowner's ditch or basement was also flooded or something, and so he got permission to dig a ditch, down the road right away. And of course, it's not a safe ditch, because it's like a ditch bucket on a track hole. So when Mr. Fugelberg did talk to me, I said, if he improved the slope better than it was before, that would be great, because before we had a accident waiting to happen too. It was a hazard. And by making the slope nice instead of a drop off, it would reduce the possibility of somebody getting hurt. And he agreed to that. And I went out and I met with the Traco owner. He said he had no liability in the procedure. He was just doing what the landowner and the renter told him to do. And I said, yes, you do, because you're the one that is using the machine, and if you'd have done it properly and kept the slope at this 4-to-1 slope like I'd asked him to, there wouldn't have been a problem. And once we did that, then I said that's when we have to go by what we do have, is that where it says 4-to-1 in slope, 12-foot bottom, 4-to-1 back slope. Until the commissioners, whoever changes that, that's the plan. 12-foot wide, AC wide, compared to like Walsh County, they have a 6-foot bottom. Ramsey County doesn't allow anything other than a foot. Still they'd have to keep the slopes. So the reason we wanted to do this is to try to set something up, whether we do it won't be done today, but so that we have something, so we have some power and covers us. We have more to go by. Federal highway says we have to keep encroachment of a right-of-way away, which they used to drive around and inspect it with us. State people would ride around and look at all the federal roads. And if somebody had been farming right up to the bottom of the ditch, then we were supposed to send them a letter from the state's attorney telling them to back off the legal right-of-way that we had. Otherwise we may lose the funding from federal highway. So gradually people have been going in closer and closer, and I know everybody does it practically, but it's supposed to be enforced, and this is where Stutzman County, I talked to Casey, and they went through all the records, found all the right-of-way easements. Some easements, they only had 33 feet. They didn't have an extra extended. Some they had the 66, the 75, or whatever. And then someone went out and checked it all over, and the people that were in violation, then they state's attorney or auditor sent out a letter stating that they were in violation of the right-of-way encroachment. And they had so long to either plant grass back in there or whatever was there prior to their encroachment. And if they didn't do it in so many days, then the county would do it or get somebody to do it and charge the bill to the taxes. So, going on with Randy, he said they'd been out there with a pull-behind scraper, and they got the short area by Michaelis's property pretty good. I'd say as far as the 4-to-1 slope, in-slope, it was fine. On the Hegvik property, they went part ways, but it was just too much there. They couldn't get it sloped properly, so we both agreed upon that they would take a scraper, take dirt from the back slope, bring it to the end slope, and just feather it out along to get the 4-to-1 slope again. It'd be pretty simple, because there's a drop off like that. You just put your bowl down, drive along, and push out some dirt to fill that back in. Well, of course, now the weather got like this. He did come in one day and he wanted all the statutes that Griggs County had on drains and right-of-way, and wanted me to send it to the attorney. But after we had talked, and he said, well, just forget about that. We'll just try to resolve it. He said, I see what you mean, what you need.
When he seen what we were gonna ask today, is when he got nice.
I don't know if you knew that or not.
But see, also in there now, Jimmy, it talks about reseeding the right of ways, and that should have to be done too. And I don't know, Wayne, if you want to pass that thing around that I brought in, there are EPA standards for when they do this work. There's silt barriers and all that stuff that have to be put in when they're working in your right of way.
If you do over an acre, whatever.
Yeah. If you do more than an acre work, the dirt work.
No. I don't care what the EPA thinks.
Well, someone needs to come up with a standard that we can
Somebody
look at and
needs-
vote on. Now in the century code, the minimum standard is a 3-to-1 slope. And here's probably what Randy's talking about. Where the governing body having authority over such roads and approaches exempt such roads and approaches from the requirement of section 240521 due to factors causing an undue prohibitive cost of compliance. And that's probably what he's stating, is it costs too much money to do it, so he wants relief from that. We don't have to give him relief from that, but we have to adopt something that we just can't arbitrarily look at the situation.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, that they want to use the road ditches for an intention that the roads were never intended for. They were never intended to be a county water drain.
Well, I know, but with that, if that's the only regulation we have, they can use the road ditches for whatever they want as long as they abide by those instruments. That's a blanket authorization. And 240503 won't do nothing because it just says encroachment, and we've already given them right to encroach.
Well, it still gives us the ability to make them fix it.
Yep, to make them fix that.
Right.
To make them
Adhere
adhere
to
to
the
that standard.
4-to-1 slope.
But it doesn't give us a case by case,
No.
thumbs up or thumbs down.
Right. No, it gives us the
So-
ability to go.
so-
It gives Wayne the ability to go make Randy fix what Randy needs to fix.
Wayne, I think what we're gonna need from you and Jamie, or you or Jamie, or whoever, is a proposal that we can act on. You know, I don't disagree that this is inadequate, but I think we are gonna have to have something put in front of us to consider, because we can't author it here.
Those guidelines didn't authorize anybody to go in there and encroach on the right of way, because that's protected by the century code. They can't go in there and just dig a drain and say, yep, it's 4-to-1. It's by the century code. They have to get permission to encroach on the right of way. the Century Code says they cannot encroach on the right of way. When that road is built, and the ditches are like this, then any future work, whether it is, whatever it is after that, is encroachment. You know, so that's the power that you have, or we have, is that anytime anybody does a drain, and somebody discovers it, like we received a lot of calls from landowners that this is going on, then we had to act on it, and we had those guidelines, so that's what we had to go by.
Right, except the Century Code gives the governing body the right to authorize the encroachment, so unless we should have a permitting process, which we should have.
That's what we want to get is a permitting
So
process.
that we know, so that it's rock solid, that if there's work being done there, there's not a permit issued.
They have a permitting process in Stutzman County because the
I don't
place
know.
we went to, within 10 days of the time his work was done, he had to report it finished, and he didn't, so they sent out an engineer to stake it out and do it the way it was supposed to be.
I'm guessing they probably do. In order to have any teeth, it really does need a permitting process, but we still can enforce the 4-to-1 back slope. So what he's doing in Randy right now, I still think that's permissible, but we still need to have the permitting process, I think, so we can look at it on a case-by-case basis, because right now, it gives everybody the ability to do it.
Well, can you get with Wayne and develop a permitting process that's, I mean, we certainly don't want to, we don't want to limit progress here, but we just want to make sure that
Right.
there's some guidelines in
I
place.
mean, I think it's necessary in some cases, it's just that we need to know what's going on.
Right.
Sid was just saying that we sign, every year we sign an agreement with.
The state, so I don't know if you're allowed to do any encroachment because of the agreement.
No,
with the state.
no, you can encroach.
You can encroach, but
You
it
can
has to
encroach,
be-
and that's at the, here, I'll read it to you. Where the governing body having authority over such roads, which would be the county roads, and approaches, exempt such roads and approaches from the requirement of section 240521 due to factors causing an undue prohibitive cost of compliance. So if it costs too much money to go by the rules and regulations, the county, the board of commissioners can say, well, you don't have to go by those regulations, we'll exempt it. So it does give the authority for the county to on a case-by-case basis, but I don't think that's really, I think that amount probably stays, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think there has to be some hard, fast guidelines that everybody needs to go by.
But I think this was giving exception to the North Dakota Century Code because it says as long as you have the required easements in a township, or in a county or township ditch, you can do whatever you want as long as you don't fall outside of these. So right now, what we have in place is a
Blanket approval.
blanket approval as long as these are followed.
Yeah.
This is the exception
That's right.
given in blanket fashion by the Griggs County Commissioners
That's
to
correct.
the North Dakota Century Code.
That's
It's a
correct.
free-for-all right now, as long as
Yeah,
they follow
this-
4-to-1.
They wrote that using 24/15/22, I think, is what it is. So, yeah, we just basically give permission to encroach anytime they want, as long as they go by that. And if that's what you want, that's fine. I mean, I don't know what it should be.
And of course, in most cases, when you get that depth and width in there, it gets out into private property, so they'd have to have adjacent easements.
They'd have to have more easements, but that's just part of the process. If
Yeah.
it costs more to do it right,
Maybe they
then
won't do it.
you need to make the decision as the person that wants to do the work, if it still makes sense.
Yeah, it's beneficial. Yeah.
So, but they do have to go to the water board, don't they?
Anytime they move water, they're supposed to be coming to us. And
So they have to have a
are.
permit from you.
So if they're not getting a permit from you guys, they're not just violating,
Yeah.
that's, the state water commission requires it.
Yeah, but the State Water Commission has no teeth in any of their requirements,
Yeah.
absolutely none.
Yeah.
And when I asked about that, they said that's up to your county to provide you with the teeth.
What if they call it just cleaning?
They can't go clean.
They can't clean?
No.
Oh.
Even if it is
Because it's
clean,
the county's ditch.
it still has to be the 4-to-1 slope.
Okay.
Steele County, they don't have any guideline standards, or whatever. The road superintendent goes out after they dug the ditch and says, yep, looks okay.
That's why they have trenches around Golden Lake.
Yeah, the minimum
Well, I
slope
would rather have
is
like
3 to 1 according to
commissioner of
Center.
the district or whatever. Commissioner of where the drain's gonna be, a commissioner of that district or whatever, and the water board and the road department and whoever else, state's attorney, somebody. To give permission, so it isn't just one person. That's a lot of times, there's more than one person that has to make the decision. That was with putting in a larger culvert or whatever. Commissioner of the district, water board, and road superintendent. All had to agree with bigger culvert. In some places, I think I saw where they wanted a hydraulic study done also.
That's what they're working on passing this winter, is you're gonna have a hydraulic study to replace or add a culvert.
Because now all of a sudden you added a bunch more acres of water to drain faster. The old culverts that were there.
Well, I don't know. I guess
We can work on something.
We can work, but when you get too restrictive like that, isn't some of that what the civil court system is for? If someone causes damage because of water sent from upstream onto somebody else's land, isn't that the civil system that should take care of some of that? Because if we start legislating size of culverts and flow and everything else, we can't necessarily be sure that those specifications are going to harm or not harm somebody. So we could actually be legislating damage to somebody, authorizing it to happen.
Yeah.
You got to really watch how you regulations cut both ways, and again, that's what the civil system should handle.
I'm sure that's what the hydrology study is for, is to back your opinions.
Yeah.
And as far as I can understand from the State Water Commission, the only bite the water board has in any culvert, if there's a disagreement, is minimum size. And according to the State Water Commission, the minimum size we can recommend on anything is 2 feet.
Yeah. Several years ago, we had a disaster and the county put a culvert back in the same size as what was in there before. The next spring or fall, whatever it was, they got a bunch of more rain. It flooded the farmer's field. I don't know if it flooded his driveway or his farmyard too, but they hadn't done a hydraulic study, and so they went to court on it. And I believe the county lost because they hadn't.
Did the study.
Or they almost, I don't remember if they lost for sure, but after that year, when FEMA came out that next year, then we were supposed to have a hydraulic study of every culvert that we were going to put in place. But a bunch of us went out to the state and testified to the legislature because we didn't have the funds to be doing that. Hydraulic study is just not a $25 deal.
And it's so wrought with assumptions,
Yeah.
they have very little value in my mind. You
So
don't know if
those-
it's gonna rain 6 inches or 14. And when the water breaches the road, all
Yeah.
bets are off anyway.
Right.
So they have very little
A
value.
lot of the studies that they do are on a 10-inch rain that we've,
How many of those have you seen in your life?
and what roads around here would take it?
It won't.
But
So,
I mean, I don't think I wouldn't be in favor of going to that extent.
I don't wanna be
No,
so restrictive that people can't
no,
progress.
no. I think we should just have a minimum
We're
standard
talking
of inches.
about, I'm worried about safety in the
That's
right
it.
of way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about.
Again, any encroachment of water can be handled in the civil arena, and that's the way where it should be handled.
But with that said, this is way too wide open.
Unless you want to leave, I mean, unless that's the way it is. It's,
Well, even the way it is, it still gives us the ability to fix what's been done wrong. And that's my biggest concern.
without a permit, you don't know when it takes place. So that it would be nice just to have a permit and a very minimal fee, and say as long as you can go by these very lenient standards, do it, and then stick by that. Don't let one person have it differently and make it all the same. And that seems fair. I mean, it won't cover everything, but I don't think we should try to be covering everything when it comes to water. It's a very contentious issue.
I don't think it's our job to police it. I just think it's our job to make sure that people traveling on the county roads are safe.
Oh, yeah. The one thing about policement of water is we have a very good system out there called neighbors. And if somebody starts digging a ditch, so somebody's going to complain. So if we have a permit in place, I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of ditches dug. People don't pick up the phone and say, is there a permit for that? And they say no, and then, so.
I would like to see the permit include the water board permission too, along with yours, so we are notified when we're doing it.
Well, you must have a permit.
Nobody ever gives us, nobody ever comes unless they get caught.
If Uber didn't have a permit today,
And you should can fill it in.
I don't think they have to have a permit.
He could clean on the landowner's property. He had on that particular one, he had permission from the landowner to clean through the farmyard. But he went a little further than what he had permission from the landowner.
right, we'll work on that. 2 o'clock.
Are you going to this standard or the standard we have?
We're just gonna go by our standard for now. That's how you guys
No, that's all. Just
vote on something. I guess.
You want me to open these?
That's usually what we do, or do you have Jenny open it?
Yeah, I'd say either myself or Jamie, because we have to make sure they've got certain items with them before we open them, so.
That's okay. Maybe I want her to open in case there's a bomb or
Yeah.
It's in there, bond.
Yeah, they've got to have their contract in place, their bond, and then acknowledgement of a there was one.
I've not been dreaming about.
I move we take a 10-minute break while you guys get together and get this straight.
It's been moved that we take a 10-minute recess. Is there a second to the motion?
Yes, second.
Seconded by everybody. Carried.
Everybody, unanimous.
Was that sheet you put in there? Was there something else besides that? Is that yours? Did I
Bean pause.
Thank you.
Okay. Gravel bids. How are we doing?
Ready.
All right. Let her rip.
Okay. We are gonna start looking at the bids for the graveling projects on County Road 26 in Griggs County. There's 2 pieces, 2 alternates from Hannaford West and Hannaford East, which is called. Looks like we have received 2 bids. First one is from Tom Gilbertson and Sons. And on the outside of the envelope, they have acknowledged addendum 1. And then before I open the bid, I'm checking opening the bidder's bond and the licensing.
Yeah, was Cal.
Was it the better?
The bidder's bond for 5%. That looks in order. And the contractor's license. January 1st, 2014. Okay. So contractor's license, bidder's bond, looks good. So with that, we will open the bid. This project, we did have 3 alternates. I'll just explain that real quickly. Alternate 1 was for the graveling on the portion west of Hannaford. Alternate 2 was the portion east of Hannaford. And alternate 3 was for both segments. So, the bid price for alternate 1 from Gilbertson is $224,810.90. Alternate 2 is $161,210.90. $266.75. And alternate 3, $382,843.08.
266.
So that was the first bid. It looks like we have one other bid here. Bear with me. This one is from Border States Paving. And they're out of Fargo. And they also have acknowledged the addendum. And we have a bid bond. That's correct. And contractors.
Let's read it on that one.
Contractor's license looks up to date.
You need to get her a new letter open.
Yeah, we do. I borrowed this one from somebody and I think I'm gonna make sure to give it back to them. It's terrible.
It's a little desk to sit.
I'm trying to find the bid. Okay. All right. Alternate 1 price, $390,262. Alternate 2, $368,182 even.
This is for pavement?
And alternate 3 is $700,945.
Can I take mine back?
You weren't even trying.
I think they call that leaving money on the table.
So those are the 2 bids that we received.
I heard the Griggs County Commissioners were, pretty tight, so I figured I'd better be low.
Well, you won.
On both accounts.
I don't know.
So Tom Gilbertson will be the apparent low bidder. You will have to take the bid back and check it. We'll do a bid tabulation, make sure there's no errors in the total amount that we had here. Looking at those prices, I was just talking with Wayne, and you would have enough to go with alternate 3. You would have sufficient remaining House bill money to go with that alternate and fund it fully at the 90% match that you can. So
Good deal.
that's where we stand now. I guess so it would be up to you guys if you would want to make a motion to award based on the apparent low bid with after KLJ review the bids to make sure there aren't any errors. You may want to try that.
I move that we award the alternate 3 to Gilbertson, barring any discrepancies found after the review.
I'll second the motion.
Moved by John, seconded by Sean to accept Gilbertson and Sons bid of alternate 3. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, it's a good thing I didn't get a hold of you the last time.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yep, thank you. Communicator just left.
Still says it's good.
Wayne,
Yes, another thing we should talk about is the chip seals probably.
We get that done, so we get it in the mail.
bit of reimbursement here.
Yep.
Everybody has a copy of this reimbursement in front of them.
Copy of reimbursement for engineering on something.
The request for reimbursement from the chip seal project and the box culvert, I suppose, for the
It's
engineering
from the overlay, yeah.
overlay.
We just paid that. I think the check went through today on
So I'd entertain a motion that we apply for the reimbursement of the engineering costs on that overlay project.
I'll move we request reimbursement for the funding on the overlay project in the amount of $35,92.93.
Good move by Sean to request reimbursement for the engineering costs on the overlay project by Sutton. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. More, Wayne?
Jenny?
Jenny?
Yep.
That's
One other thing is your next federal aid project are the seal coat projects. I believe you guys talked through that last time. The projects were set up for 2015 to do 2 of the roads and 2016 to do the other 2. With the meetings with the DOT, they mentioned about doing them all just in 2015.
I think we already passed a motion to do that
Yep, okay. I just, in case anybody was.
at the last meeting, didn't we, Wayne?
Yes.
Yep. So the thing with that is, how do you guys want to proceed with that? Because you have 2 options. One, you can do, one, you can hire us to do the work, the design work. Or the other option that you have is to put it out for proposals, request for proposals, which is where you advertise for the engineering. You aren't required to do that. You're not using any federal aid for the design portion. You're just using the federal aid for the construction and potentially for construction engineering, I guess. But so those are the 2 options that you have. Right as it stands right now, looking at bid opening possibilities, bidding the project this next spring to construct in the summer. As it sits right now, the earliest bid letting you can get into is April. And that's if we say we're going to start going ahead here in the next week to 2 weeks. If you do the RFP process, just keep in mind that that's going to push you out. Yeah, get an ad to the paper. If you decide to advertise for 3 weeks, you're probably looking about middle of December, probably your second December meeting that you'd be selecting your engineer. So then it looks like, based on the DOT's bid letting schedule, that's probably going to push you into June. May possibly, but June probably more likely. So just so you're aware of that, I guess.
And why don't we have to bid it? I mean, what's?
The engineering?
Yeah.
Because there's no federal aid.
There's no federal money.
To the engineering part of it.
Right, just on the construction, you bid that, and if you decide to use federal aid on the engineering, then you are required to bid it for the century code.
So there's no county money going in? I mean, what are we bidding at? Aren't we required anything?
I think it's still gonna be part of the aggregate of the project, so I think we probably still need to bid it, because you can't piece a project. It still needs to go towards the whole you can't build a building without the cement, and you can't build a road without the engineering. So I think it's all part of the building, it's all part of the project. You can't build a building and say someone does the cement work, someone erects a building, and someone does the electrical work, and all of them are $100,000. And so you don't have to bid them, but you really do, because if the aggregate's over $100,000, you need to bid everything.
And federal, state, or county makes no difference on bidding a project. If it's public funds, after a certain amount, it has to be bid, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
And even if it's just a part of it, it's a portion of it, so it needs to be bid. If the aggregate of that portion and the rest of it is over $100,000.
Mm-hmm. So the argument for not bidding this is that this engineering is a portion of the whole project.
Well, you have a contract for the engineering part. You'll have a separate contract with the contractor when you bid the work to construct it, so that's they're separate contracts.
But there's the part, but you can make the same argument for building a building that's $100,000. You have a contract with the electrician, a contract with the guys that do the cement work, and a contract with the guys that erect the building. And they're all separate contracts, but the aggregate of all of those contracts together still adds up to over the threshold of what a bid is needed. And that's when you have a problem if you don't bid them.
Part of the process, I was reading in the Century Code, says that you do not have to pick the lowest bidder either. Part of the selection choice is people that have had experience in doing it.
For engineering, it's the Century Code dictates a quality-based selection anyway. You can't even get bids from anybody to make a decision on that. But
wouldn't it be in the best interest of, what harm would it do the taxpayer if we put it all for bids?
it won't do any harm.
So,
Just take a longer period.
Well,
probably doesn't matter if it gets bid in June or April, I guess, as far as the price.
mm-hmm.
No, we went through the RFP process last fall for all of these three projects here for using the House bill money, and we did it for that, and there weren't any other proposals on that. So not to say that there couldn't be on this particular project, but that's why we're asking the question, because if we need to do the RFP, you need to get that in the paper very soon, or else the project's going to get pushed back further. So
what has to be in the RFP?
I can get you on the RFP. It's standard language that basically follows the Century Code. There's 4 or 5 criteria that you're selecting based on and rating the people that supply a proposal. So, but I can supply you with an example that's used by
advertisement for.
Yeah, advertisement for engineering services.
Right.
So.
And then it's years of service, the type of work that it pertains to, how it is standing there. The price is one of them. The price, and there's usually a formula as you add them all together and come up with.
Price isn't part of that.
Not in this one?
No, it's a quality-based selection. That's in the Century Code. So I think I don't think you can ask for a price, but I don't.
Because you have to give your proposal with all your experience and whatever else, right?
Yeah, it's based on workload and experience and.
Ability to do it, and projects. Okay, but we should put a advertisement in the paper as soon as we can, I suppose, to get an engineering firm.
One question on that, there's 2 different ways when you're doing the RFP. If you're utilizing federal funds, the DOT, the state, requires that you have a separate RFP for design, and then you have to have a separate one for construction. They used to allow you to do them both in one with federal funds, but now, because of the utilization of the federal funds, you have to wait till those funds are authorized to go through the process for the construction part. But since we're not using federal funds for the design and the construction, you would possibly have the opportunity to do the design and construction on one RFP. So I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that. Do you want to do one RFP now just for design and then do another one for construction later? Or do you want to do one now with design and construction? Is that confusing?
How do you?
So that would be in the bid, in the advertisement then for,
I think it should be done at the same time. I don't want a different engineering firm handling the construction than the one that did the design.
So now I'm confused. Which is
I'm talking about engineering services for construction and design, not the guys that are doing the work.
so whoever gets the bid and the engineering bids that we put out, or they would do the design and the construction engineering.
Right, well, that's where I'm confused. How can it be a fair bid if you don't have the design first in order to know the specifications to bid on? That's, unless, how can a construction company, how can you get the best possible bid from a construction company if they're bidding in the blind, if they don't know the specifications? If we lump them together, how does that work?
It's
just engineering services.
Just engineering services.
Not
That's
construction.
all we're talking about for construction engineering.
Construction engineering,
The
not
project will
construction
still be bid
construction.
for contractors to build.
Okay.
So that's still.
So this is for the specs of the project is what we're putting out the bid for.
Yep, the engineering, and what you would do then is with the design and construction services, engineering services, then you could select your engineer to do the both, and you would do the contract for the design first, and you'd probably do a separate contract for the construction.
Just like we did on Sutton Road.
Yep, yep. But at least you've got it taken care of, so like you say, you don't end up with somebody else doing the construction from the engineering side.
And another process to go through to choose them, or
Yeah.
to select that person.
Yep, because there is some cost, with the cost of running an ad for 3 weeks or.
And just the time it takes to do it. I mean,
Yeah, and that's for you guys.
so what are your wishes, Ben?
I think we should advertise it for the combination of design and construction.
Sounds fine to me.
It seems prudent in my mind to do that, since it isn't our money, it's taxpayers' resources we're dealing with.
So the phrasing on it is we want to put out bids for the design and construction engineering
Services
associated with this.
With upcoming projects. I guess I would entertain a motion to that effect if somebody wants to do that.
Let's talk about this before. I got a letter from Paul Benning from the DOT, and they sent out our federal aid program sheet, which was basically the same as what you had signed before. It hadn't combined all the chip seals into one project for 2015. So then I called out there, and then I sent them a copy of, because somehow it got lost, that you had signed, where we crossed out moved the bridge back to 2016 and combined the two chip seals years into one project. So now they have that. So, but I don't know if they need a number. He said they would combine those together and then send out a new sheet, which would have to be signed again, I suppose, the original sheet for the big projects in the bridge.
What is the name of this project?
It would be the chip seals for County Road 19, County Road 26, and County Road 2, yeah.
I move that we advertise for bids for the chip seal project on County Road 2, 19, and 26, combining the design and construction engineering into one bid. Call for bids.
Been moved by John to ask for a request for proposals on the engineering services for design and construction on the projects for 2015. Is there a second?
Wait a second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Anything else, Wayne?
I think it's time for me to go eat my orange on.
I'll go hunting.
Might be the last year.
Oh, I thought you were. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks,
you,
Wayne.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Dale and John.
Thank you.
Monty?
No, I'm just sitting here. Don't tear up the neighbor's parade, Charles.
Oh shit, that was my road, I gotta fix it.
Travis?
The 20th of October, we detected a software program called Time Inspector on Cindy Antoine's computer. First initial investigation of that program, it basically monitors activity on the system, and then it also takes screenshots, keeps logs and records, and it allows for remote access to that system, to those logs and screenshots. Based on that initial assessment, I elevated the issue to actual security breach and contacted ITB. Travis is the security consultant for them. He was going to look into the firewall logs the state had. The issue we ran into, though, since the program was installed over 90 days ago, the state only keeps logs for 90 days and they dump them as they're moving on and stuff like that. So basically what ended up is it was on my shoulders to figure out what the program was, what was it doing, and how it was installed and so forth. What I found out actually, the version that was installed on the computer was version 1.0. Fortunately, that did not have the ability to take screenshots, so we did not have the vulnerability potentially of having a data breach, basically. Since the software was not able to send any information outside the network, it was basically keeping record logs on the local system. There wasn't any issue of actually that I've seen so far the actual program sending anything off our network. So fortunately for that, we kind of feel it wasn't actually anything that we need to be concerned of, other than the fact that we need to get the system cleaned up. So the operating system was reinstalled and all the programs, basically the system was wiped, OS was reinstalled, all the programs were re-implemented and all that then. And then kind of from going through the stuff too, the program itself was a free unregistered version. So there was no user account tied to it, so I wasn't able to determine if it was, who actually did it or how it actually got installed on the system. It basically shows that the time it was installed and when, I guess, is the issue. So my best guess is most likely the software was installed when Cindy was not in the office. The computer was unlocked, still logged in, so someone had access to the system as her basically logged into it then. So
Somebody physically walked in there?
I'm guessing that that's a possibility. That's how it was done, based on the fact that that's how the program would actually have to be implemented. It wouldn't be able to be remotely installed. The paid version, the pro versions, can be remotely installed, but you would have to have administrative passwords information on the network to do so. So my best guess, based on what I've seen so far, was most likely it was installed by someone sitting down, installing it, and walking away. So, but
There's not a possibility that this was embedded in some other software that was installed in the computer.
The software itself, I don't see it being embedded. I mean, there's other possibilities. I'm not saying this is for sure. This is my best guess from what I've seen so far. It does not mean that is the most likely cause. I mean, it's one guess. There's not enough information to do know for sure exactly how it actually got on the system. So, but based on that, I'm proposing a few different security changes to the network and so forth. One of them being is trying to get the employees to make sure when they leave their computers is lock the system, so Windows key L, so that when they're not sitting there, the computer is in the lock mode state where nobody can access it. They have to actually.
What's the time on that? How long does it take for it to lock out?
Right now, it does not. It doesn't. It wasn't set up to do that. So it was up to the users when they would leave. They would log off their computers at the end of the day. So implementing a screensaver lockout and then actually training them, just basically make sure when they get up, they know they're going to leave for a bit, get in the habit of locking their system all the time.
But they should be set up on 15 minutes.
10 minutes, or I guess my recommendation was 10 minutes. It's up to really what you guys' best practice is for the screensaver to automatically lock the system. So, and we can deploy that through group policy where it's mandated then on all the systems. It can't be changed. So
no, the users on this system aren't set up as administrative users, are they?
They're set up as local administrators, meaning they have the ability to install programs and so forth on the local computer itself. That's one thing we can discuss if we wish to change that. What that also does is it increases the workload on IT for updating systems. You need to have administrative passwords and so forth, but it's really dependent on how.
Who is the system administrator?
I am then. So
but I mean, I guess here's my take on it. I understand there are things you would like them to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But them could be the auditor, could be the system administrator.
I've done that before.
I think you're more saying it's a local system administrator, meaning having the rights to install programs on local computers, not actually having administrative rights on servers themselves.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's not every day that there needs to be an administrative task performed on the local workstation. So if there was one person designated as administrator and everybody else was set up as a user on their local workstation, if something needed to happen, if a person, I'm not saying that's the auditor, I'm whoever, is deemed the person that would do that locally instead of you driving from Fargo.
Well, I mean, that stuff could be done remotely too. I could do it remotely, or someone locally could have a username and password that would have that right.
Somebody would have an administrative password, and it could be the same administrative password on every machine.
Yeah, I mean, because since it's Active Directory, it'd be one user account that would set up for that, and that's something definitely we could look into, and also we could put it in practice and see if it does impact some programs, if there's issues, if it becomes too much of a burden, or if it's too hassle. We can determine that as we go too.
That's how I run my network at the bank. I guess that doesn't make it right.
No,
but it is a way to keep somebody from walking in and sticking a disk in and loading some software. It just wouldn't happen.
It's an additional security step, which is definitely something we need to look at as far as we have to balance ease of use and security, and those are always fighting back and forth. And the fact that you could you walk away from your computer and it's locked, that's going to give take more time. But that's one of those things that it has to happen. So
I think it's easier now though too, because I know when I was first administrator, I had all the passwords for all the computers, and it's not like that anymore. Or that's not what it'd be different, wouldn't it?
It would be different. Basically what would happen is if the system update had to change operating system files, a dialog box would pop up saying that you need to have administrative rights to the local computer to do this. Please enter your username and password to do that. So anytime, certain updates will require that, not all of them, if you're installing a program, but then most time I'm the one doing the installation of the program, so that wouldn't really be that effective on that, so. But,
So, was there any other software installed on the 24th on this computer? Did you want to check on that? It just baffles me that somebody walked in there and did that and then wasn't able to retrieve it. But I almost believe it's got to be on another stick. On a stick it was put in there in combination with something else.
it potentially could have been where, I mean, you can't auto-run programs. I mean, once you put a USB stick in, it auto-runs, installs.
Yeah.
And you can also do what's called, I can't remember the term for sure. Basically means run in the background, don't actually show any dialog boxes and so forth. And this software does have that ability on the paid versions, not on the free version. And that's where that's kind of ruled out that the likelihood of that, about having an auto-run functionality on that was less. But
The only reason he found it is I came in on a Monday, my monitor was unplugged, my computer would not work. Got on, there was another program that was added on, I don't remember what it was.
that was, yeah, we had, the system was showing,
Sunday.
it indicated, what was that now? It indicated a malware program, basically a tracking program. So that was initiating me to go through and actually do a wipe of the system. Upon the auditing of the system, that's when I detected that other software too. So forth to start researching what it was. So what we do is we'll pull an audit of the computer as it is, wipe the system, reinstall it, make sure we install proper programs back in. And that one just stuck out at me as something being odd. So I started doing some research on it. So. But what concerned me at first was when I first found their company's website is the fact that it could take screenshots and then send them off-site, which could potentially be a data breach based on if somebody's looking at confidential information and the screenshot was taken and then sent off. So that's where my first initial concern was. But since this is version 1.0, it didn't have that capability of doing that. Basically, just keeping local logs for 14 days as far as which websites you went to, which programs you're running, and how long you had those running, or how long you were able to send the website then. So.
What value would that have?
Just to see what I was doing if I was playing around on the internet, I suppose.
Yeah, it's nothing, and no one has spoke to me about that. You know, any software we get, or if we want to do any installation, basically I go through ITD, depending on what it is. You know, if it's like Office, yeah, obviously we can do that. But certain programs, if we're doing any tracking or something like that, we have to make sure we comply with a lot of security concerns. So they get approved through ITD first before I actually do the installation, if I have any questions on them. So, but like I said, through this, and we did do network scan all the other computers on the system, and I did not detect that program installed anywhere else. So, fortunately, it was not installed on any other systems or servers. So.
Can I just ask a question? When you said it collects that information for 14 days and then drops it, or could you tell if anybody got in there and detected what that information was?
I guess I wasn't able to. I mean, the state did look into as far as if we could do forensic analysis. The state has the ability to, I'm not sure which companies are, they have free auditing services or forensic analysis services through third-party companies. Travis said if we wanted to look into it more, they would be able to check on that if they could offer that free service to a county agency. So one thing I did, we actually took an image of the hard drive. So if we did want to go look into it more, we could take that image, send it off to the company for analysis. But from what I'm seeing, I don't think they would get any more information than I would, I guess, on it. It's kind of.
Were these logs stored on the server?
No, they were stored locally on that computer itself.
So they didn't have any way to come get them?
That's just it. Like the newer version would send that stuff off remotely. It would send it off to a server outside the network, which then they could access via phone or your web interface. The old version, you have to actually have it. The freeware version of version 1.0, you have to actually be locally on there. Basically, the idea was that freeware version is if you wanted to keep track of your kid on the computer. That's what the website was talking about. You would be able to install that for free and then check their activity locally. You have to be physically at that computer.
So what was Cindy doing then during that time?
I guess I didn't look at the logs. I did pull logs.
I don't care. Go on.
We do. Like I said, we did take an image of the hard drive, so if we need to look into it anymore, we can. So. Another thing that popped up during the investigation too. You know, people will come in, ask for recordings or a copy of the recordings for commissioner's meeting, and they would hand Cindy their USB stick. And I think that needs to quit. I mean, that has to be where we're delivering content to them, not the other way around. Because not saying they would intentionally do it, but they potentially could bring a virus, could bring other things from their system into our system. So
Absolutely.
And I think, our employee handbook is pretty vague on the policies, I guess. A lot of companies implement what's called a UAP, AUP, acceptable use policy. Basically, it's a contract with the employee and the company saying this is what you can and cannot do on the network, and potentially if there is breaches, these are the punishments or what could happen to you if you do so.
Right.
And I think that might be something we should look into drafting. Whether the state has a copy of, they might have something similar that we could copy from them and go forward with that, but it's definitely something we should look into as far as trying to tighten down and just getting all the employees aware of potential risks and what
we have every employee reaffirm that with a signature once a year.
Okay. And we could I think we need to go in more detail, I guess, is my opinion on that. It's kind of vague as far as what's acceptable and so on.
No, I mean at the bank. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I figured that's what he was talking about.
Okay. Because that stuff changes too. I mean, technology is always moving around, and we have a lot of different things happening, especially with the state too, as far as how they access their data. So
we have half of the digital recordings on the website right now. It's just that when this happened, I was to the point where the ones that have more than one recording have to be added together first, and those are the only ones that are left to put on the website. But the minutes are on there for about half if you go back.
And did that allow for people having access to it via the internet? But if someone does come in and request copies of any data, public data, I think our policy should be that we actually burn a CD that we have and then give it to them. That would be the cheapest.
I know that's what they do in Foster County, and then that's just $5 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
it's easy
you can
to
do
put
it
up
on
a
a
USB stick and copy it,
but digital recordings I think have to be on DVD, not CDs.
and they're the same cost for it, basically too. It's minimal for a CD you can have available, and all the computers have burners in them, so that's a standard option. So, but I think that's one thing that we should put in the AUP as far as how we actually share our data to the public, what's acceptable, what's not, and so forth.
So you don't think it's a big deal?
After reviewing the fact that it's version 1.0, that it has very limited capabilities, so we don't have the ability for that program to send data off is not there. So if it was able to send screenshots, we would be in a lot worse shape, because Cindy's computer does voting election software and other payroll and stuff like that. We could have been in a pretty tight spot for security footage. So, but
yeah, I think our security practices probably need to be tightened up.
I agree.
And what type of intrusion detection prevention software do we run on?
We do not right now.
There's nothing on the individual workstations?
We have just antivirus, so Trend Micro as far as in that way. That does have web filtering capability, so known threats are stopped if someone's trying to go to a vulnerable website. But as far as someone trying to get in, that's actually handled by the state too. The state has intrusion detection from outside the state's
on the
firewalls. Yeah. So, and since we're internally, the only thing that would happen is if another county got infected or something happened there and internally infected us, then we wouldn't have any capability of that. I guess I shouldn't say that. I'm not sure how much the state actually does filtering internally, but I know for sure they have intrusion prevention on the outside.
But we also have a firewall at our connection point, don't we?
No, there's no. We have a private connection from here to the state. I think it's the Fargo node that we connect to.
Oh.
It's all VPN private there, and then that is divvied out to the internet and to the state.
Right, but if there's a VPN connection, it wants to go through a firewall.
We have a router that directly connects to the state's router. That's all through the. So we're not actually on the internet until we hit the state, and then we go through the state's firewall. So we are behind a firewall to get access to the internet. And the state does have intrusion prevention. They have teams dedicated to make sure they monitor that stuff.
So you have Trend Micro on the server, and you're pushing it out to the individual workstations?
So the clients then report to the server, and then if there's any breaches, anything that comes up, I get an email right away saying this computer, this results, and so forth. So we can take actions on that then. I guess if we get approval, or if I could get approval basically to start writing up a AUP, drafting it, I should say, and then I'm not sure if I could get one of you guys to basically, if I could have a point of contact for questions and so forth.
Sure.
So we can, like I said too, I think
I can help you do that, and I can probably get you some examples.
Exactly. I was gonna say I was gonna give the state a call. I'm betting they have some pretty, they have to do this. I know a friend of mine actually sent me a military AUP. He worked for Afghanistan for an IT firm, so that's been something he sent that over as a draft, so I can go through and look at that too. So
it doesn't need to be too crazy.
No, I'm not. Yeah, we want to cover our bases, and basically the biggest thing is making sure we convey to the employees, locking the computer, making sure you're not leaving things open, don't insert CDs or drives that are not our property and stuff like that. So just little things like that to make sure to be aware of. So
clean screen, clean desk.
Yep,
that's what we call it in our industry. And social engineering is.
The weakest link is always going to be the human interface. That's most potential. That's where most breaches happen.
So we allow, the computers are capable of, if I could walk in there with a memory stick and stick it in and download everything on the computer and walk out with it?
Yeah, if nobody's there, you would be able to, if the computer is not logged.
If the computer's logged in.
Logged in.
If somebody's logged in as themselves.
I know, but why do we need the ability to give the employees that option?
You would have that option irregardless. I mean, the computer that function properly, even if you're a limited user, you still be able to.
Well, can't we disable that?
But you have to remember, not everything. There's not very much information stored at the workstation level.
True.
You couldn't walk in there and put a thumb drive in there and load information off the server. I don't think. Can
no.
You don't allow that.
No, the servers are locked down. Our data is on databases, meaning we have programs that access them.
Unless the screen is open.
Well, even that, they still have to have that program running. So one example, M files is where we can store documents on the server in a database. That's all there. It's not actually on the local computer level. The state's databases, such as election systems, are all web-based. They manage it. So there's not a lot of content that's on the system that would be considered private. Anything that might be on there would be considered public record. But at the same time, too, like I said, too, we need to make sure that locking the computer becomes a habit. When you get up, you lock it. It's
Except
not
with payroll on ours. And ours is password protected on payroll.
Yeah.
And writing checks.
So you have to have two passwords to get into that. You know the password of the computer and the password for the
I know, but it should still time out if somebody walks
Exactly.
away with it.
Yeah.
Walks away from it.
And they used to. We used to set them up, I think, ourselves.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we'll do that from the server level. We'll of course on a group policy saying that this computer will lock after 10 minutes of inactivity.
The only problem is if the individual users are set up as administrators, they can change it.
No, they can't.
Okay.
Because they're local administrators, but then they're not network administrators. Network administrators trump local administrators. So any policy that's set down is actually, they'll be grayed out on their screen. They can't uncheck it. So.
Okay.
And I did look into a little bit about limiting the ability to put USB sticks in, but the only thing we could do is not allow it, which we wouldn't be able to do then. That means nothing would be plugged in, be able to plug into it.
And that'd be tough because that is USB.
Yeah, everything we do nowadays internally, as far as we have drives that we need to plug in and accessing stuff. So, but
I started thinking about that too after you said that, and then I looked at the recorder and I said, "Oh, that's not going to work, is it?"
The easiest way to restrict confidential information from getting downloaded onto a local workstation is not allow it and keep that stuff at the server level.
Yep.
Who cares if somebody comes and gets minutes? But that's a little different than somebody's income tax record.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't set the computer up where it will just allow inputs and not allow downloads on the stick?
No, because anything to read and write, it's the same thing basically. The current ability of our software, as far as for external hard drives with memory stick, is either to allow them or not allow them. Now there is third-party software out there that can actually track the identities of every single stick. Everything has an actual ID number, and if it's plugged in, it's not authorized. It will get a red flag on it. But that stuff is pretty expensive, and the management portion of it, I think, would be outside of our
Didn't
realm.
the things and didn't Trend Michael at one time be able to tell you if there was something on here?
Well, Trend Micro will actually, anytime you plug a stick in, our antivirus will start scanning it right away. It'll look for potential viruses. If there is, it'll block them from that memory stick if it's plugged in. But we shouldn't rely on that. Like I said, too, we shouldn't be using any memory sticks that aren't county property, in my opinion. So, and another thing too, I would suggest too is actually turning off autoplay. That would take care of someone plugging something in and having a program automatically run. So I mean, you have to actually double click it, open it up, and run it. So, and that would just take away that potential for something being plugged in and being run in the background. So.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, there's little things that we really need to change and start educating, I guess, is kind of wake up. So.
Okay. Any other questions for Travis?
Do that as far as getting some AUTs done, and we can get an idea as far as what.
You will have to remind me.
Okay, no, I'll email you, and I'll probably find some drafts from the state too. So go from that. So.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, Travis. Checking the time. Connie, you're next.
Okay. I was hoping Wayne would stay because this concerns Christie. She's both of our deputies. She has about 20 hours left of sick leave, but she wants to stay out until December 1st. And both Wayne and Jim Anderson have filled out donation sheets to give her time to do that. 137.5 hours is what they would donate, if you want to pass those. So it would just be to get your approval to do that. No comments? I don't know.
She's on maternity leave, correct?
Right. And the county doesn't have a paid maternity leave. She just uses the sick leave that she had, sick and vacation leave, so.
When did she go out?
October 23rd.
Oh, she didn't have very much time built up.
She had, September 23rd, sorry. No, she's been gone all of October and now starting November, so she's going to take 2 months. 2 months and about a week. Yeah, October 26th, 5th. September, I keep saying October. September.
I have no idea what the policy is. I don't know.
There's a part of it that says something about donation.
Donated sick. At least do that.
So, and is sick leave accumulative and there's no limit to it? Is that what it is? I
Sick leave?
Yeah. So it's accumulative and there's never any.
As far as I don't know.
There's no cap on sick leave.
No, the only cap is on if you leave and get it paid out, you only get up to $100 paid out.
It only pays out at 10%.
Yeah, up to it.
on donating it.
Yeah, there's something.
How many more days does she have?
She has about, I think it's 20.5 hours. So not.
What's her name?
Yeah.
Employee management.
Employee policy man.
Oh, mine's pink. That's what I find.
You got the girly one.
Yeah.
In the table of contents, I thought there was a thing for sick leave donation. Isn't there one?
It just says sick leave benefits, but
These are the minutes.
Like a bottomless drawer and it just keeps pulling things out.
There's nothing wrong.
The state evidently repealed the donating annual sick leave in 2005.
Oh, really?
What we're at,
This is the state's.
oh, yeah, I don't see it anymore.
We'll find it. I'll go see what I can find.
what does it say? The state doesn't do it anymore?
Donating annual leave.
Annually, what about sick leave?
Sick time is something.
Sick, the state can still do sick time, right?
Employees may donate days of sick leave to another employee upon approval of the Board of Commissioners on a case-by-case basis, page 13. That's in that.
That's what I thought was in there.
You got it?
Too much stuff in there?
This is all Cowboy Ronnie shit that fell in the back of the drawer.
I was
2012,
gonna say you're kind of unorganized for a thing.
2013.
This is it, right?
I thought maybe it was those minutes we could find.
No. Oh, I don't know if we're really lost. They're probably working. So.
Is it time to purge some papers?
Hit the gold mine. Box full of number sticks.
Just plug them in or what?
It's all bonding shit.
So it appears like we can do it.
Okay,
It's in the manual.
what are your wishes? The last time we had a request to do this, it was somebody that had already quit.
Right.
And we didn't allow it. These guys have a lot of years of service and they've accumulated a lot of sick leave, so they aren't really putting themselves at risk. However,
She was just gonna go down and see if she could find it in the book, but they found it before she's come back.
Also, your donation of sick leave. that's
Yeah.
good.
however, the fact remains that they have earned it. They could use it if they needed it today and they're willing to give it up to another employee.
Yep.
But
And both employees are still employed by the county and have that right to donate their stuff.
yeah, it's Wayne and Jim Anderson.
Oh, wow.
I'd make a motion that we
Allow.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to allow the two employees to donate some of their sick leave to Christy Runnigan for the use of maternity leave.
How much time? Usually when they do it, they have.
50 hours.
Oh, you do have it, okay,
and
as what was handed in?
87.5.
Okay. Motion by Dale, second by who?
Sean,
Okay.
is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote.
There he did it.
Too late.
Oh, my God.
Too late at midnight.
John,
Aye.
Dale,
Alright.
Sean,
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Okay, you need to sign by chairman.
Yeah. Wayne didn't sign it.
I'll get him signed. He filled it out with his writing and stuff.
Next thing I have on the agenda is a state-county agreement for social services. I don't understand it, but I guess that's okay. They're asking the chairman to agree to the social services following the laws of the state of North Dakota and federal laws. And obviously I don't administer the food stamp program. And I don't feel like I should be signing documents on behalf of the county without the commission acting on it. So what I would propose is that the commission authorize me to sign this as a local administrating authority of the food stamp program, I guess.
Motion. Motion. Okay. I'll move we have our chairman sign the agreement between the state and county regarding the administration of social services.
Food stamp act.
Or food stamp act. That's personal.
Is there a second to the motion?
second.
Second by Dale, is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Colonial Insurance, who's talking about that? You?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We already have Colonial Insurance, so what happens is Zeb is going to bring in a new company, and I don't know what the new company is going to be, but he was a representative for Colonial Life. So we have a new guy for Colonial Life, and I don't know how the commissioners, anytime there's called something like solicitation.
Solicitation.
Yes, thank you. It has to be okayed by the board for them to be able to present it to the employees. So I don't know how to do this one because whoever Zeb brings is actually the new one, but he was a representative for Colonial. So this is really weird. Because Colonial, Zeb was actually approved for selling the stuff, the insurance. But now we'll end up with another representative for Colonial. He switched companies. He's going to sell us a new dental insurance. And then we got a Conrad that's going to be doing Colonial.
What's Colonial? Is that life insurance or is that?
It's dental.
That's dental too.
And
It's
cancer.
It's everything,
Well-
dental, cancer, accident, life insurance.
Vision.
But they're different companies.
Yeah, but they're like an umbrella company.
Okay, I get you. So I don't know how you want to handle it, because actually Conrad will be the new representative. And I don't know if you just okay him to be able to come up and represent Colonial for those that don't want to lose their dental insurance that they've got right now, because usually when you start on a new dental, it takes you a year before you build up your...
Wouldn't it just stay the way it is? It's just a different rep.
On the Colonial, but see now Zeb's going to present a new dental with his other stuff.
Don't you have to?
The agent for Colonial took another job with a different company. He wants to move.
No, he wants to
move these.
competition.
Right, and then.
So don't you need approval to have that dude come back with his new company? This guy's already approved, isn't he?
That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, but you're talking. Colonial's a company. Zeb's the agent. The agent evidently is changing companies. He wants to move.
Take his clients.
But he's keeping the other part that, see, that's where I don't know if it's an umbrella company or not, because he's keeping the other insurances, he's just losing the dental.
He's with Emeritus, which is our dental, and then he's bringing a new vision.
I know, but the fact that there's another agent coming in for
Colonial still
Colonial.
still representing the county.
Right.
They had permission to come into the county. What you need to do is give approval for Zeb's company to come in.
Yeah.
That's my understanding of it.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So, I don't care.
Well, there isn't. As long as it doesn't cost the county any money. Does it?
No, it doesn't cost the county any money.
All right.
So you need a motion?
Yes, please. But I don't know what to make the motion, so.
I make a motion we allow free competition in the dental health insurance for all major installers.
So, that's the thing is that Conrad comes up with a...
I like that. I'll have to second now.
Make a motion, discussion.
Free enterprise.
Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Stan?
On page 19 is a spreadsheet that I did up. I emailed all the counties to see which ones got granted the day after Thanksgiving as a holiday and the day after Christmas. And all the ones that are yes was the 26 counties said yes for the day after Thanksgiving. All the ones that are highlighted, they have it in their policy to have the day after Thanksgiving because they worked Columbus Day. Or because they worked Columbus Day. The other, I guess it was 4 of the counties have to take vacation or vacation pay or no pay, but the facilities are closed. The 4 other counties said no, and then 6 of them haven't asked yet. And then that's the same as the day after Christmas.
Haven't asked who?
Haven't asked the commissioners yet, but it was on the agenda to be for the November meeting. When I went down on break, Adams County emailed me back that the commission had granted them the day after Christmas and the day after New Year's. but I wasn't gonna bring up New Year's. So just, yes, request it, or
What is HA abbreviation?
haven't asked.
Doesn't everybody work Columbus Day?
I think usually the banks are the only ones that
I
have.
was gonna say, I bet he didn't.
Yeah, that's.
I don't think Nelson County did.
We work Columbus Day. The only thing there's one we have off that the banks don't have off, and the banks have one off that we don't have off, and I know Columbus Day we work.
So you're asking if you can have the day after Thanksgiving and the day after Christmas off?
Yes.
I'd say if you take a vacation day, yes, by all means.
I hate to point out the obvious hypocrisy here, but you conducted this survey on county time when it wasn't authorized to be conducted, so the county was paying you for doing something that to try to get the county to pay you for some other time. I mean, this doesn't make any sense here. Why was this done on county time, Cindy? Who allowed that?
Someone said that she should have that to bring it to the meeting, otherwise we were just gonna ask.
Well,
I don't remember who it was.
we kind of give them hell if they come to the meeting without any basis for questions.
But it should have been done at home, not on county time.
Grant.
Yeah, I don't know if they can bring anything they want, but man.
I'm the one that asked her to be prepared if she was gonna ask us for something. Because over the course of my tenure here, there's been too many times when people have came to this in front of us and asked for this or that or the other thing and had no information, provide nothing for the commission to act upon.
I agree. But I don't agree that it's the taxpayer's responsibility to pay to put that information together.
That may be so. Anyway. Sean, you've already voted.
I did.
Are we voting on whether they get it as a paid day off or whether the facility is closed?
Well, yeah, but
there's a difference. If the facility's closed and they have to take it as vacation day, it's different than if.
Right. I guess I don't know what the request is. Again, I'm just very offended that it was done on taxpayer time.
So, what is the request, Sam? Can you help us?
I guess the request is that we have the day off, whether it would be holiday or we would have the vacation. I was also told that it was granted last year.
About what?
I was also told that it was granted last year to have the day after Thanksgiving off.
It's probably, I'm not against it if the county doesn't have to pay for it, I'm not against it. That's fine with me if you want to take vacation time and have it on. If the facility's closed, I'm fine with that.
But how do we know that all the employees are? Maybe some employees don't want to take that day as their vacation. I'm just being the devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm. It's the question I asked too, so. So are you going to allow some office to be open then and some closed?
No, it can't function that way because.
Well, it does now. Sometimes there's employees gone.
Yeah, I know, but there's some parts of the courthouse that need to have the other part in operation or they can't do their job. I mean, we can't have one closed down and so we have somebody sitting here not being able to do their job because part of the courthouse is closed. That can't happen.
And I don't think the recorder can have her office. You either have to say it's closed or not because they have to record documents as they get them. And then that depends on the auditor's office because they have to check to see if the taxes are paid on it and.
So I think we should table this pending a majority decision of the employees on whether they want to take vacation day for these 2 days or they want to work.
Can we ask them that question during working hours?
Hmm?
Can we ask them that question during working hours?
I don't know, can you? It doesn't.
That's what I'm asking you. I'm asking for permission.
Well, I suppose if the commission wants that decision, wants that information to make a decision, I suppose you can.
Okay. And just
But an unsolicited request for information here is that just can't be happening. There's a job that's supposed to be done here, and we need to do that job. Taxpayers are paying for the services.
Okay, so you guys, you're gonna ask find out what the group would like to do.
And it can be just a majority, because if you have a few that don't want to do it, are we going to be all right with taking vacation?
What do you mean? They'll all have either everybody has to take vacation.
No, but I meant
Like a majority vote.
a majority vote, not everybody.
Oh, whatever you guys are gonna have to live with it, because if the majority says vacation, they're gonna be mad at you, not us.
That okay?
Is that for both the Thanksgiving and Christmas?
I'm fine with that.
Snow days.
I was asked to bring up who was going to be the one to say that the courthouse was closed.
Me.
Okay. Is it really?
Yeah, if you can make it to Macville, that's all.
Okay.
There we go.
Isn't that how it's been?
Yeah, I think so.
That's how you told me it was.
Did I?
I'm gonna pull 'em
I
out.
make a motion that the president of the county commission is in charge of whether the courthouse is open or not. Chairman of the county commission, so whether.
You mean whether or not to close for inclement
So
weather?
you will call us, we won't call you, right?
Wrong.
Oh shit. Then it always comes down.
We got that on.
Who's
Yeah, we
going
got
to
that on
call
too.
them?
I need a second.
Oh, who did the motion?
Okay.
I'll second it.
Been moving and seconded that there's a question on whether the courthouse should be open or not due to inclement weather. That somebody from the courthouse should contact the chairman of the commission. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Remember, you guys are not going to be the chairman for very much longer.
I was just
It's
gonna
almost
say
the
that
end of the year.
too. I was like, do we want to say Troy or do we want to say Sharon?
We can settle that right now.
There's 3 of us that don't want to be chairman, so we can be chairman.
Nomination citizen casket.
Yeah.
Probation raise.
My 6 months of probation will be over on the 16th of November. Wondering if I can receive the 50 cents for my probation raise after the 16th.
Is it in your budget?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then it's your decision, isn't it?
No. It's your guys'.
You know, we hashed this over the difference between a salary or a elected official, which we denied that, and a
I understand.
hired. And I'm in favor of the salary increase after the probation period for a hired employee. But now, then that position then will go back to the probationary salary when you take the office of auditor.
Correct.
Okay.
You have 3 though that you really need to address, not just hers. You have Christine's, right? Kenny Sandvik's and hers. You turned down Kenny's and he's been here, he's over 6 months and I think Christine's over her
Over 6 months.
months.
I don't know if I have the money in the budget. I really don't think I do.
I mean, it's still up to the individual department. That's what it's, I mean, that's who, it can't be both ways. We can't be told that we have no control over the employees in the department, and then we have control over the employees in the department.
Well, we just have control over the budget, that's why I asked her if it was in the budget.
That's right.
So Cindy has it in the budget. Obviously, we agreed with that budget,
Well, that's
so
correct.
she can act accordingly.
Yeah.
So-
Same with Christine, the same with Kenny Sanders.
So I don't think we.
Okay, because I know they have the money for Kenny too.
I mean, that was the argument before, that we've been told many times that we don't have the ability to say who you hired or how those employees are treated, but now you come to us and want permission to give them a raise when that is a budget issue and that's a department head issue. So like I said, it can't be both ways. It's one or the other. And I'm fine with the department heads being able to do that within the budget.
Okay.
Unless you want to relinquish all control of the employees back to the county commission and let us be in charge of every aspect of the employee. And I'm fine with that too.
I'm not. Okay.
You're not gonna be here much longer, so it doesn't matter to me.
I was just asking the question.
I'm not being here much, but I mean, you got Connie, you got Jamie.
I like it the way it is, but.
The workman's comp. meeting?
Usually when you present a budget, you present that raise also, the probationary raise in there, but when something happens that makes it different, then you don't always have that money in there. And like with Jamie, he cut his budget, so whether he has that money in there or not, I don't know.
No, but the county commission doesn't have a pool of money to make those, that's the reason for a budget.
Yeah, it is. That means you got your raise. You're jumping up and down.
She is inside.
She is, yeah, I know. She's got it all figured out and everything, so it's like, yeah.
Huh?
I said you turned around.
Workers' comp meeting.
I just need a time change. I suppose it's 10 o'clock. Okay. I just need a time change because when we talked to Wayne and some of these people, having them come at 8 in the morning was too early if they're coming from Bismarck or someplace else. So we talked to Wayne, which would be the best for the road department, and he said from 1:30 to 3:30. So if that's all right with you, or if you want to make the motion that you're just giving us 2 hours for that day.
Cindy, do I need to be at that meeting since I've already been to the same meeting?
I don't think so.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
I just need to be able to change it because I think we set it from 8 to 10 or something on.
Oh, we did set a time?
Yeah.
And then next time we'll know better that, no, don't set a time, just give us the 2 hours for that day or whatever.
Okay.
I'll check, but I don't think you do.
If we're gonna change that, I suppose we need a motion since we locked it down.
What's the date on it?
20th.
I move we allow 2 hours on the 20th for the county workman's comp meeting. Time to be set for the discretion of the employees.
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
You missed my page 20 on the gas.
Yep.
There's an employer training, and I don't know if there's money budgeted for that. And Connie and Sam are the ones that would need to go to it, not me. Since, like I said, I'm not going to be around. It's in Bismarck. And if anything, a lot of times when we had things like this, it would come out of Social Security health insurance for the travel on anything like this.
Just a day there and back the same day, the way it looks? Or?
Yeah, that's the way it looks, from 8:30 to noon, but if it's that early in the morning for them to get to Bismarck, they'd almost have to go the day before.
I do it all the time.
You drive that, okay, that's up to you guys, I mean, is that gonna be hard?
Leave at 6, you'll be there at 8:30.
What day of the week?
That's December 11th.
Thursday.
Yeah, I know I talked to you about it one time, but I know I didn't bring it up again.
What day? The only thing is if the weather looks bad, we'd want to go the night before.
If they allow, if your daughter will let you stay over her place.
Yeah, we could do that.
And then they just pay you the mileage to drive back and forth.
It looks like something needs to be done. They're changing their financial reporting of it. Is that?
That's the way it looks for PERS and TIF. And we used to do the teacher's retirement, and you know, since we don't really have a teacher's deal anymore, superintendent schools, we don't have to do the TFFR one.
Yeah, I think you should go. Sam, is there some training you need to go to before April?
Yeah, she does have training. I don't think it's before April.
It's not before April?
No, I don't. We'll chat. We were gonna chat.
There must be a schedule in advance for that. I don't know.
Well, she's gonna want to start soon because legislature's gonna start, and they expect a lot of the officers to stay on top of legislation also. So the sooner she can start getting some of the stuff in, the better.
It would seem to me, since all elections are held in November, that, and all new auditors take office in April, that their training would be held somewhere between November and April.
But you don't have any.
If I were king, that's how I would do that.
Right. The problem is, they say if they're still working in another job.
Well, they have to take vacation and go to training.
Yeah, wouldn't it? But usually the county pays for the training, so
Well,
when they start their.
You better rattle some cages.
I think the king's right. It should be between November and April. But it should be.
I agree.
Take office, I would do.
Process would be expedited if I was a king, I can tell you that.
Off of their heads.
She's got a lot left to learn right now.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't know what the answer is.
Get busy teaching.
You want me to throw this at you? Sam, we started. I showed you how to do closing. What happened?
I'm very confused.
Now what else is going on? Election, right? And payroll, all at the same time.
It's kind of nice not having all those commissioner meetings for a little while.
Oh.
You know what? It was nice.
No one's going to argue with them now.
If you guys, if you're willing to do this, if someone could do a motion to pay it out of the health insurance budget for them to attend this meeting. Please.
I'll move we allow Sam and Connie attend the PERS presentation and be paid out of the Social Security and Health budget
For travel.
for travel.
Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, we'll move into the new courthouse, old courthouse, and I don't know why the construction engineer's letter couldn't be part of that discussion, if we want to just talk about that right now.
I think we probably should go into executive session for that.
Why?
Well, in case we have a leak, right? I think we need to talk legal strategy, see what we're gonna do. We're recorded, and if we end up in litigation, that recording could be used against us.
Connie, do you have the other recorder downstairs? Can you get it if they decide to do this, and then you give it to Jamie, and then they're responsible for getting it back to you with the copy, and I don't have to go through what happened last time, please? It's your guys' decision. What are you gonna do?
Well, we're not, I think we need to decide what we're gonna do before we discuss strategy. I mean, they've laid out some options here.
Three options.
But I think in order to discuss every one of those, I think we should go in executive session, just because of, I know what I'm gonna say, I know what I plan on saying, and I don't want it recorded for everybody here. Shouldn't say for everybody here, but for it to be used in possible litigation against us.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to discuss the three options without probably compromising our position. I think we should probably go into executive session to evaluate where we stand in this thing and what our options are.
I'm surprised they didn't give us a timeline for, you know, there's been money
For each option.
No, as far as if the grant is funded and reimbursements keep coming and they continue to have their outstanding balance paid down, it seems like that we would reach a resolution at some point.
Well, certainly can call and ask them if they would be willing to do that.
And they're gonna receive a check for $122,000 here, although we approved.
I think we should go into executive session.
She's getting the recorder.
Myself.
Any other old or new courthouse issues? Heat's up and running, right?
Yeah, that is the heat running in the courthouse.
As far as I know, because it's been 60
Someone-
degrees, the
someone
lowest
checks
is,
it every day.
I check it every
Somebody
day.
got you see you got a thermometer?
Well,
Yep,
except
I
for
put a
weekends.
thermometer up and Denise been checking it every day and writing it down on the calendar.
Yeah. You wanna put that in form of a motion, John?
Yeah, I move that we go into executive session to discuss the letter from Zimney Foster and how we formulate a response to it.
It's been moved by John to go into executive session to discuss this letter that is in your packet from Zimney Foster. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, trustees on.
Call the meeting back to regular session. I think we need to discuss this
You got it going again?
Yeah.
Oh.
voucher. I think everybody had assumed that voucher to the building authority was, or that was labeled building authority was for a lease payment, and that is not actually the case.
So do we have an invoice from them yet, or?
Yeah.
You have it in front of you there.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you. Anybody else want to sign it?
It hasn't gone this way.
Okay. Did Jamie get it?
No.
I don't think the smell's up here, Sam.
No, it's not.
Okay. They're going like this
No,
still.
that's just how I sit.
Oh. Okay. Are we taking that down tonight? Okay.
The last sheet of, did you get one of these? I don't think so. The last sheet is the one that's supposed to be attached that I forgot to put in with the invoice.
You forgot the
invoice. It's in the invoice.
Okay.
Okay, so the payments that have been made.
I know. I was very confused doing it. So that it wouldn't make sense. But I stuck the EOC payments in where they came after the description of it. I'll look at it, Cindy, it's in that voucher there.
Okay, so request payment 2 has the EOC portion has been reimbursed in full, correct?
Request 2 or C, construction engineers 2?
No, request 2.
Request 2, yeah.
Okay, so that's paid in full.
Mhm. And they are done with request 1 and 3. And we got the credit for the 25% match on that.
Yeah, 1 and 3 are, 1 and 3, it's $64,000 for 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm. Although I really want to ask them why they only allowed $55,000 for craft architects.
I thought it was going to be more than
Or 71, I guess, is the total they allowed, but that's,
And request for,
that was construction engineers' first and second pay requests. And they are done with that. And that's where the attachment at the back has the detail for what they approved.
This is request for the DES. The others are, these are the requests of DES.
Right.
Okay. And they paid, construction engineers' pay requests
are within each of those requests. So number 4
number
includes
4 is
those.
pay request 1
Yeah.
and 3. Okay.
Number 5 includes number 3.
Okay.
And they are not done with number 5. I think 4 and 5 maybe. There we go.
So are they gonna pay money to construction engineers and companies over there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Any check that they get from the county will just be endorsed by the treasurer and sent up to them, endorsed over to them.
okay, so the total amount received from the DES to date is what amount?
The 373, 962.12.
Where's that number?
On the second page, it's kind of in the middle of the page under the 75% federal.
That's what we received.
That's what we've received.
From DES.
All those bold ones on the.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what we've gotten from them.
How much?
373.
962.12. Yeah, it's on this sheet too.
From DES.
So we still have.
So the total paid by the building authority underneath it to 368,965 is what?
Of these requests above, the building authority off to the right-hand side, those numbers are the full amounts they paid. But I took these, like the first one is the 71,213, added that to the 7,803.20. Every amount that the building authority paid of these requests that the DES approved. Over here, this, that one, second one. And then they approved this 231,557, because they've made those payments. And then the 4 of the bottom ones in request number 5. All of those added together is the 368 that the building authority paid, plus the 25% match that they paid on those items.
But the first $250,000 we sent directly to construction engineers.
That went toward an outstanding balance.
Right.
That went towards number 5 and 6, or 5, 6, and 7, was it?
5 and 6, and then the next one was 7.
6 and 7. Yeah.
6 and 7, yeah.
Yeah.
So the only amount that we know that has been verified that construction engineers has been paid by the building authority on behalf of the county is $122,000. We don't know if that 368 is going to be authorized as an EOC expense.
No, those are the authorized ones. Those are the ones that are eligible, that building authority has paid. You just haven't gotten the money yet back from, well, you've gotten the money, but you sent it directly to construction engineers.
But
For the other
But the building
requests.
authority didn't pay those. They were unpaid
Right,
balances.
right.
So that
But they were on 5, 6, and 7. And these are only on 1, 2, and 3. So eventually, you have to pay back 1, 2, and 3. And 4, because the building authority paid those. So this is a billing up to date of what has been approved by DES that the building authority paid.
Okay.
And they only are requesting the 122 because that's what we know you have.
The amount that is owed the building authority is not determined by what the building authority paid. The amount owed the building authority is determined by what the DES approved.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's that 368, the eligible amount that the building authority has already paid.
No,
on these.
the $250,000, the building authority didn't pay that. We paid that directly to construction engineers.
Right. That doesn't enter into any of this billing.
Okay, so the
Okay.
368, the only amount right now that the building authority has paid for the county is $122,000.
No.
Yes, because the rest of it, we don't know if that was an EOC expense. We don't know if it's an EOC expense until the DES authorizes it as an EOC.
These are authorized by them in the last payments they made us.
Well, how much money have we got so far?
That 373.
Right.
Right.
But the 250 of it, we paid directly.
Yes. You used it to pay payments 5, 6, and 7, even though it was authorized for 1, 2, and 3. The way you used it is to pay off what you feel is your debt to construction engineers, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't show, aside from that, you still owe the building authority, that we still owe the building authority, what they have paid that the DES approved, minus the 25%.
Only when it becomes authorized by the DES.
Yes,
Yeah.
and all of these have been authorized by the DES.
Well, then the outstanding balance then is $368,000.
Right. Less the 25%, which down here shows how did I figure that out? 368. Why did I use the match plus the 75%? Okay, the 368 is only the 75%, and the 120 is the matching amount, the 25%. So those two together is that amount down below and those 5 lines at the bottom, the 489.8305, 839.05. I thought it's easier to just put it all together and then subtract the 25% out of there. And that's done up above in those 5 lines. The match that the county still has to pay is the $35,000.
No. You're making the assumption that when this is all said and done, that every dime is going to be approved, and that's going to be the cost.
No, these are only the figures that have been approved. I haven't looked at any of the figures that haven't been approved.
Right, but the
But the
amount
320
requested and the amount paid isn't the same.
Exactly.
So that doesn't mean that we owe the building authority for what doesn't get approved.
Right.
But
But that's what it says here.
But no, the only figures I have that the building authority has paid are the ones that the DES says, okay.
Okay, Connie,
Let's
proof of what Troy just said is correct, is that you still have the county owing $35,000 on their 25% match.
Mm-hmm.
You're assuming then that the match is $329,500, which is the full $1.3 million cost of the project.
Right.
That might not be the case.
That's true.
If this comes, because there is no set amount in this lease agreement, and there was no set amount for what this was going to cost when it started. It's split up.
Okay.
So the only way we're going to determine what the true cost of the EOC is when we're all done and by what the DES approves. Yeah.
So then we can use the 290 and the 4,062. That's how much the county has paid so far on the 25% match.
Right. So their
Right.
way that is what the county has paid so far in the 25% match. Or you could actually, why are we prepaying the 25% match? That's money that the building authority is holding of county money, which will offset what we owe the building authority. This should be on an ongoing.
Okay, say that again.
Okay, this should be if they're saying that we owe them $368,000.
Mm-hmm.
But that only costs to the $368,000 only takes $120,000 match. Right. Okay. We've paid them $290,000. Why do we have an outstanding balance? Why doesn't that go towards what we owe them? If we owe them $268,000, why don't we subtract the $290 from it, and then we owe them $78,000? That would be how a true accounting system would work.
Okay, I still lost you. What 268,000?
$290,000. Less county paid. $290,000.
Right.
Okay.
From the you're saying take that from the 360?
Well, we haven't used all that $290,000 as a 25% match. The building authority has paid how many dollars for us on our behalf so far?
Well, have a cumulative amount. Of this, I'm saying it was the 368.
Okay, so 25% of the 368 is $120,000. That's what we should take out of this $290,000 fund.
Okay, but they've also paid some of that 25% match.
No, we paid the 25%.
Not on the first payments.
We've got $290,000 in there. $290,000 will cover $900,000 worth of payments.
Okay.
So we actually are carrying a cash balance.
We prepaid our 25% match, basically.
And we haven't used it. We prepaid our 25% match.
We have a balance.
We've only used $120,000 of it. We still have $170,000 principal sitting there that should be applied to what the building authority thinks we owe them. Take the 170 off the 368 and you come with $190,000 to make this as current as of date.
Okay.
And then moving ahead from there, that's fine. Then if we've used all of our match money, then we will have to reinstate. We'll have to pay our match. But that's the only true way to do this. They can't be holding our money and not giving us, but then charging us for money they supposedly paid when we have money in their account.
Can I use this?
Because it'd be so easy to just to put in the balance sheet and here's the money that's been paid. We agree now already that the county's paid $290, and we agree.
Oh, actually more, $294.62.
Right. So, and actually, when it's all said and done, there's another $180,000 that was never accounted for as paid back over that $750,000 when we got done with the audit last year, and there was $750,000 that had been moved. And when you did your figures and presented them with us to try to show us that yes, it had been paid back, we came up with $180,000 short. So there was $180,000 from 2013 that was also went towards this project that we need to get credit for here.
That's when we tried to get money back on grant stuff, on the other stuff. That's what he's talking about. And they
because remember,
anything.
we contend that that the county had paid $750,000 towards the project in 2013. Obviously, that wasn't the case. You presented evidence that everything but $180,000 had been repaid by the building authority, but that still leaves $180,000 that went into this project. So now we have $390,000, $470,000 into this project. It's about even.
Okay, so what you want then is basically up to this point is okay, because it shows how much the building authority has
Well, I don't know.
paid and how much is
I don't know.
eligible from this.
I don't know if it is okay. I haven't checked and seen what was actually approved. The dollar amount that's been paid so far is what?
From
Paid from the DES.
DES is this 373,962.12.
Okay.
That, and I took these figures off the things that they sent us.
Yep. And so that's what's been paid so far.
That's, yep, and that's what they approved, the eligible amount approved. I used the 75% to come up with that 368 that the building authority has paid.
Yeah, so of that 373, the 25% has been paid already.
This is just the portion of the 75% that the building authority paid on our behalf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the 122,110, I agree with that. The balance owed to the building authority, I don't agree with that.
No, I don't either.
Because unless that's looking forward, but it's not, is it?
No, it's not. So that, okay, and so I don't need to use the 329.5 at all. Because we don't know if that'll be
That's going to be it.
ready.
This is just going to be an ongoing thing. The dollars we get, we need to get to the building authority,
Mm-hmm.
and we need invoices to cover those dollars we're sending them.
Yep, and those are with the voucher. Okay, so the amount down here, this should not be the match amount, it should be just the 368,965.
The 368,965, 368,965 is, let's see,
Less the 294,062.58, right?
294.
That's the county, what the county's
Paid.
match was.
Yeah, 25% match.
The 290,000 and the 4,062 that was the county portion of the match that was approved.
Okay, the 373,962, I wish you had your calculator, Troy, is the 75%. The other 25% has been paid by the building authority, the 124,935.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you take the 124,935.65 minus
94,062.58.
94,062. We have $169,000 still left. 169,126.
Okay, why are we subtracting the 75% from the?
I'm not subtracting the 75%.
No,
I'm subtracting of the 373,962.
Mm-hmm.
The building authority paid the match for us, but we had on account with them $290,000.
Okay,
So if you subtract the 124,935 from the money we had on account, 294, we still have on account $169,000
That we haven't used towards our match.
that we haven't used towards the match yet.
okay,
So
but the building authority paid the 368,965. So that needs to be reimbursed.
the building authority is only going to get reimbursed what the DES reimburses the county.
And that's how much they reimbursed us, 373. for the 75% match.
But the 368,965, part of the 256 came to the county. It wasn't paid by the building authority. That was an outstanding balance. No matter whether you say it's invoices 5 and 6 or it's 1, 2, and 3, it doesn't matter. That check went directly to offset what's owed.
256, which amount?
The 256 is what Griggs County paid to construction engineers.
Yes.
Right. So
yeah, but that was on request.
It doesn't matter in the overall scope of things. It doesn't make any difference. Right now, the only monies that the building authority has paid on behalf of Griggs County is the 122, 110, plus the $124,000. And that's the only verifiable amounts.
No. I disagree. Because the DES approved all of these payments, right? That's why we got the 373. They approved the building authority paying construction engineers. They approved the amount of, the 75% amount is $231,557. Construction, or
373.
no, I'm up,
No,
up
it's
at
what
the,
we
on
received.
number, request number 4.
Okay.
They approved, the building authority paid construction engineers the total EOC portion that it was owed.
The building authority
The construction engineers.
No, it didn't. We paid $256,000 of it.
No, but you paid, okay, this is only on request 1 and 2. You paid, when you paid the 256, you specified that it was on request 5, 6, and 7. Okay?
I know.
Okay.
But you can't let us pay it and it comes off the total owed and then take responsibility and put it back on the balance sheet on the other side. Right now, as it sits.
Coming off the total owed.
Right now, the total owed, the only thing that we can prove is the 122. That's all the
And
building
how are you
authorities
proving
paid.
that?
Because that's what's been authorized as paid by the DES.
Yeah, but they authorized that for payments 1, 2, and 3 to construction engineers.
Okay, so you're saying, if you look at it another way,
Yeah.
okay, if you take 290,000 minus the 256 DS paid you, then county's share that's only left not paid is 40,000? It's another way to look at it.
And that's right.
Okay.
There's nothing. The county share is not.
But then when they reimburse us for this, then you only have 50,000 left that you can spend.
The county share is not $1 million. The county share is whatever the DES authorizes for the cost of that EOC. If they quit paying right now.
Yeah, no, but John, they have
And so far they've
authorized.
authorized $124,935 as the matching amount.
You guys, they authorized reimbursement of that, but it went directly to construction engineers.
Yeah.
Right.
Through us.
Through you, yeah.
But
But if you, like I said, if you take your 290,000 and minus that 252, even if DES pays you more money, that would belong to the building authority except for the extra 40,000 whatever of the 290.
What? No.
Yeah.
No.
That's another way to look at it.
The only way to look at this is, as of this point right now, we owe the building authority $122,000. That's what the DES has authorized. That
No, that's just what you have left from what they authorized.
So where did the money that was authorized and was paid to us? Where did it go then?
You paid it on request number 5, 6,
We
and
paid it to
7.
construction engineers,
Right.
but it wasn't so if we paid it to construction engineers, the building authority couldn't have paid it to construction engineers.
And they didn't. No. And it's not part of this request.
I know this request has to be right now 122 and 124. And then you have to, And that's it.
We'll never agree on this. I think we're seeing it from different.
Yeah, perspective.
Because it's
I'll
almost
guarantee
like
you when it's all
expenses
said-
and income.
No,
The-
it's not, because you're making the assumption that what the building authority paid is actually an EOC expense. I will not agree to that.
No, only these expenses that have been approved by the DES
Are the
are
EOC.
approved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
and they approved a total of $373,962.12 as their 75% match. The amount of that the building authority paid, of those approved payments,
Mm-hmm.
was the $368,965.98.
Okay, when it's all said and done, then we'll have to subtract the $256,000 from that, because we're talking approved, and that came to us, right?
Yeah,
So
and that'll be subtracted when we get to payments
Yeah,
5, 6,
yeah.
Because the 256,000 that we gave to construction engineers, you could say that was on behalf of the building authority because they had
Money around.
brought money forward to pay these earlier requests.
Right,
So that should all wash out in the end.
right. So as of right now,
Right.
122 and 124 and 124.
122,000, that's what we owe them today.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
I mean, that's what they're requesting because that's
So-
all you have.
Okay, wait, no, now we got to there. Now there, finally we got to there. We owe them $122,000 today. They still owe us $169,000 because they haven't used all the 290. They've only used 124 of it. If we agree that we owe them 122 today, we also have to agree that they owe us 169 today.
Well, and I don't agree that you owe them 122. You owe them more than that. They're
Yeah.
only requesting the 122 because that's what you have. The balance owed to the building authority is the 332 after you pay the 122.
Yeah, but we paid the 256 on
There we
their
go.
behalf.
There we go.
Yeah,
There
for
we
request
go.
5, 6, and 7. This is only
It'll all
requesting
come
payment
to
from
that.
1, 2, and 3.
There we go.
I know, but it's a project,
Yes, it's a whole project. And
so
it'll all come out in the end.
it will.
Because they're not going, when we get to what they, because when we get to sending in the approved request to the DES for what you paid on 5, 6, and 7, the building authority is not going to ask
That's
for
right.
that paid back because they didn't pay it.
That's right.
That's something you'll get back to you.
Yep.
But they are going to ask for this 368,000 back because they did pay that.
That's right. And then we're going and we're going to ask for the balance of our 294 back that doesn't encompass the 25% match.
Right.
Yeah.
If there's a balance, hopefully we get it all.
Hopefully we get it all,
The whole
but-
thing,
but-
and then, yeah.
But the only way to set the price of this
Yeah,
project
yeah.
is to let the DES go through this and determine what the eligible costs.
Right. Okay,
So, yeah.
I think we all
We
ended
got
up
it.
in the same place, but we really.
So
took a
you're
lot
gonna
of
let her
So,
take this
yeah,
money
so
from your
we're-
pay to them?
Came from every corner of the county for that one.
Because you already okayed it, so you're okay with paying this money to,
Not in this format. This could make assumptions that right now, if they stop the money stream, that we would owe $368,000.
I don't like that language.
Yeah. So I'm not, no.
okay, instead of doing that, why can't you just pay it to construction engineers then? And so that we've made a payment to them?
Because
We don't have
we don't
an
owe
invoice
them
then.
engineers.
We don't owe them anything if they receive portion of them.
Well, I mean, maybe so. Maybe we can make this payment on behalf of money, maybe we can make this payment on behalf of the building authority.
But we still need the invoice so we can get more money back.
You know,
So we can get more
I-
funds and
Okay.
get more paid down. We need that invoice.
Yeah, I do.
Well, all the vouchers are here. We just need this corrected, right?
So what-
No, when we pay this to the
special.
building authority, are we gonna turn around and claim this as a,
Well, that was my question. I don't know how that works because what you're doing is paying the building authority back for payments they already made.
no, we can't. We don't, that only work for the 256,000.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, this isn't gonna be
So that-
eligible.
So
Yeah.
could we make the payment on behalf of the building authority? to construction engineers. If we just send construction engineers $122,000 and say, put this towards the balance, building authority's outstanding balance, our outstanding balance.
But what do we owe on yet to them?
To who?
Well, construction engineers, they say.
$604,000.
But it went, you know, it was $750, we paid $250, and now it's $605, so it went up $150,000.
I don't think we can answer that question. I think we need to ask the building authority if we can pay on their behalf. That's not really a question for us to
Yeah, I know they didn't care if you made the check to the construction engineers when this went through, so.
As long as there's a paper
they're meeting
trail to show
Monday
that.
night. If you want that question asked, I can ask them.
Well, I mean, what's
your counting standards? That's your question. That's a question for you. What do the auditors think of that situation?
Of what?
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be so good either.
We need a paper trail for this to make sure it's done right and done right for the auditors too.
Isn't that the way they wanted the check written anyway, was to the building authority and construction engineers?
That was the request.
Both names on it?
Yeah, but that was turned down.
Who made that request? Was that?
The building
authority did.
Yeah, I know, but who within the building authority made that request?
They all did.
Yeah.
I can't remember who brought it up. I think I brought it
Let's
up.
just.
I said if they wanted to, they could.
So do we have invoices totaling $122,000 and a proof of payment in the form of a paid receipt so that we can justify that $122,000 payment to the building authority? That's what we need. We need to show that the building authority paid this $122,000.
Yeah.
And then here's the receipts presented to Griggs County, and here's our payment.
The vouchers in that receipt are total $142,000. So.
And there's a payment.
And there's a payment, but we don't get a copy of a check from Bank of North Dakota. We just get their monthly report that shows they paid it out, and that's what DES accepted from us for their.
Right. I mean, the fact that DES accepted this is the premise of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So those vouchers total $142,578.99.
Well, then on our next request, we should almost write 2 checks then, and one to finish this one off.
Right.
Well,
I don't know what's the auditor do for county. That's not my.
I think it's best.
You know what I mean?
It's just so it comes in from the DES and it can go out. So where it goes out to, I don't think makes any difference.
No, just as long as we have the paperwork to back up the spending.
So the checks equal the invoices.
Right.
And the purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
The money came in. The money came in.
This money is not. The money is, when it gets to construction engineers, not going to go against the EOC center. It has to go to the building authority because they paid the EOC bill on their behalf at the time. And when they send that money to construction engineers, it's going to be for the courthouse.
Yeah.
We don't want to write that check.
Yeah. Right. So we need the $122,000 invoice from the building authority showing this is an EOC expense.
That's what that is.
And that's what this pile is here, yeah.
Yep.
And those are the exact same invoices
So I think
that DES approved.
That's okay, I think.
So we get paid?
Yeah.
Connie, I'll have a letter for you to send with them Monday morning. I didn't know that this was going to get done today.
Yeah. So what's going to happen then when we get to the end of whatever we owe them? Whatever we owe. One verse.
Whiskey River, take my mind.
When we get to the end of what we owe construction engineers, there's still going to be probably a balance in that $290,000. We won't have used all the 25% match.
Depending on how much is reimbursed.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, right. When we get to the end of paying construction engineers, because they're not.
Oh, they're not done yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there'll be a $290,000. There'll be a portion of that $290,000 still residing in the building authority's account we want to be careful that that doesn't happen. We want that, when we're done with construction engineers, we want that to be a zero balance. Because from there forward, we don't have a contract with construction engineers, so from there forward, this project will have to be on a separate basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With everybody.
With everybody, so,
Yeah.
so when construction engineers is paid off, we want to make sure we take that remaining $290,000 balance and put it towards what we owe the building authority.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta keep a handle on that.
If the building authority would pay that money that they have in the bank of North Dakota, that is Griggs County taxpayers' money against construction engineers.
We'd be a lot closer to done. They're sitting on $12,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
But they have to have that money for the other part of the project.
What?
That was on the,
FF&E.
yeah, FF&E.
Oh, so you're not gonna pay the guy that built your house because you're saving money for your couch?
Let's back this up again.
Really?
Now, are we
That's exactly what it is.
Are we assuming now that the building authority gets to decide the furnishings inside that building? They're supposed to be strictly the finance and construction part of this thing. They're sitting on that money for no other reason than they want to try to squeeze more money out of Griggs County. That money's going to have to be paid. That $200. Why would you worry about your couch when you have to pay the person that built your house?
Yeah. Put the windows and the doors
Would you pay
in.
the shingler before you went to the furniture store?
Yes, I would.
Okay, we'll worry about
Those shingles fixed.
we'll worry about the furniture down the road.
I mean, come on.
Well, long before that we send them the final $206,000, it's going to have to be addressed.
Okay, so on this voucher, I'm changing the subject.
Yeah.
200, do you want this as a sidebar over here, the 290 minus whatever comes off as we go along?
Well, you should keep a running balance
Yeah, but it'd be easier if it's on this.
somewhere. You should keep a
Because
running.
the next invoice is going to be continued.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not
Right, yeah.
going to be a brand new.
but I mean that 256 we paid already. The building authority did pay out 25% of that,
Mhm.
so that comes off. So yeah, that's a running balance as we go. And if we get to the full amount, yeah, there will be 34,000 or whatever it is. We'll still be owed a 25% match. But I think that can be found in monies that have been paid previously out of the county fund.
Okay.
So it should be a lot easier if the building authority would come and sit down across the table from us here and get this straightened out.
Well, I think that's what we're gonna need to do.
Mediation.
I think we're gonna need to do it before mediation. But I talked to Lee Grossman about why they haven't paid that $200,000. He says a lack of trust. Well, it's county money, and I don't care if there's.
Trust.
I don't know, understand.
If you rate the construction engineers, what's the trust?
Well, that's, if it goes much farther than someone besides the building authority and construction engineers and the county will decide this, and it'll be a court, and that's not where we want to go. So let's get this figured out.
Okay. Last thing on the agenda is the cops grant, and I was asked to ask you guys to table that because the city's not done with it, and Bob and Fargo to get our metal detectors today.
Yeah.
Motion.
I'll move the table to the cops grant.
Did you guys take care of business after the executive session?
We haven't yet.
Oh, did you?
No.
No, we haven't yet. We have to take care of it because it's the executive session here, but it's
Sean's moved the table of the cops grant until the next meeting on November 21st.
I'll second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now, we do need to decide, as a result of the executive session, what direction we are gonna go, given the options presented in that letter from Zinni Foster. Does anybody want to take a stab at it?
Well, I'd like to proceed to the next least volatile step, and that would be mitigation. Mediation. All right, mediation. If that would be my choice. I don't think we're to litigation yet, and settlement will never agree. We're off. We can't agree with settlement gate.
So Jamie will lead us down that trail.
What do you think, Dale?
Yeah, we can't settle because the settlement clause that we're gonna just give them a check and we're gonna have the funds.
We're never.
Okay.
So we're getting communication with them.
So I make a motion that we instruct Jamie to inform Zinni Foster that we would like to proceed with mediation.
Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No, I think that was everything.
I move we adjourn.
So moved by Sean, we adjourn. Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any
I think
discussion?
we're going.
Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 5:07 p.m. Day of our Lord, November 7th, 2014. Next meeting will be on November 18th, 2014 at 10:30 a.m. And that meeting will be for the purpose of disposing of county property, and the next regular meeting will be November 21st, 2014 at 1 p.m.
Who do you need to talk to?
Huh?
So I need to talk to you.
You need to talk to me?
Hey, Charlie.
Sitting right here.
I know.
I'll get a letter for you, Cindy, for
That check?
that check. Yep.
Canvassing's Monday. You didn't see it, right? So
What?
canvassing is on
Well, I
Monday.
don't know, I got a meeting today, so I can't get here.
You told me, I don't know, because then we better grab these guys and get somebody else to do it.
What time?
It was at 10:30. I think it was 10:30 on Monday morning.
30. How long is it going to take?
It could take a little while.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they were on
Can I find somebody to sit in my stead?
Yeah, you need to make a motion, recall this meeting to order and do that. You told me you wanted to do this, and I told you you need to sub if you didn't.
I'll be here.
You'll be here? I still need to talk to you.
Hurry up. Talk fast.
That was this thing. Right.